welcome to our 172nd episode of Guerrilla Radio. We might be able to hit 200. I don't think we'll hit 200 this year. But
first show next year, 200. That means we gotta hit some over the summer.
Yeah, we gotta hit some over the summer. Gotta get up to 200, but it's semi-state week. We have a special guest. Dane has joined the show all the way from Decatur.
All the way from the double eagle.
All the way from the Double Eagle.
No, just from the farm.
So he's joining us. We're going to talk some Fort Wayne semi-state, amongst many other things. It's semi-state week, and it's going to be a fun week. Oops, I better make sure we can get... There we go. Got to get...
Always a good week, man. This is like one of the best weeks, one of the most random weeks. We were kind of talking about it on the High School Wrestling Weekly, like the semi-state first two rounds and the state quarterfinals, like two of the most random rounds in Indiana wrestling. Like, you could have two of the best guys going in, and then we're going to talk about some crazy matchups tonight, but always really, like, those are two really exciting rounds for me. I always think they're really good.
Yep, it's going to be, we finally got the brackets. Can't tell you where I got them from. It is a secret. I don't reveal my sources. I will get the brackets this week for state. I cannot release them until the show, but I will have them early. I will have them in my possession. So I cannot release them, nor will I, for I want to be the long-running co-host, tri-host. So no, so yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. First order of business is some news we got today, and we are going to do a live Guerrilla Radio, not only Thursday from, was it Chasers? Chasers. We're going to do one Saturday between sessions in the fan zone thing of in Evansville. So we are working on exact details of where we'll be and stuff, but we'll be set up. We'll do a live Guerrilla finals preview. So stop by, say hi, bring us some food.
We're gonna bring some stickers, and we have some. I still have some the on the rise stickers. We throw them out there.
Throw them to your fans. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. They kind of were excited that we were interested in doing that. So, kind of working on details of exactly where we're gonna be and how we get set up and everything between sessions. But should have a live Guerrilla Radio. So we'll have a speaker out there so you guys can listen in and hear what we're talking about and get a little good state finals preview. So,
Rex in the chat. I see you. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Hopefully, a lot of people from the chat are there. I know we talked about it at Chasers, but it sounds like they're gonna do a really cool event. I know Dane has kind of been talking about it a lot. Like, he's kind of talked to those guys and some of the organizers. I heard that you guys had one of the event organizers on. Which is really cool. It sounds like they're going to do a really good job of hosting, and I'm really excited. We were talking a little bit off air. I was telling people this Saturday, they're acting like I was the one that chose for it to be in Evansville. It sounds like you guys are all getting the same treatment. Every time Joe posted, like, someone's like, "Why did you do that?" And I'm thinking, like, we didn't even get asked.
Dude, I wanted it in Fort Wayne. We were going to have a blast of a party on Victory Bay. I can tell you that much. That would have been... The whole state would have been invited to Victory Bay. So.
They'd have been kicking Joe out of the HOA.
Go big or go home. Yeah. So, we I love the post on Facebook. It's like they get really angry when you just say Evansville. So it's in Evansville, guys. We're not going to change it no matter what other suggestions you have. So, from what I've gathered, it sounds like it's going to be kind of like a NCAA level type fan fest and stuff. They're going to have zip lines, and I don't know if I am not doing a zip line through downtown Evansville. Dane, are you doing that?
Rex has volunteered to be the first one.
Good. Oh, that's awesome.
We got to get it on video, or it didn't happen. Rex,
we will. we'll have an episode of High School Wrestling Weekly before the first session on Friday at the bar/restaurant that's attached to the Ford Center. So we're looking forward to that too.
Nice.
What the heck? Oh, some people on Instagram being a little mouthy. So they'll just get banned.
I was just reading the things here. Brett said he would brought a deer carcass to Victory Bay.
Yeah.
You can probably get one of those to Evansville.
Yeah, there's some deer that run in my backyard. So
I think the weather looks like it's going to be all right, too. It's not going to be too bad.
It's not going to be the 25 degrees warmer that they promised all of us, though.
No. Yeah. Well, it's going to be warmer. Originally, it looked like it was going to be a little bit cooler, but it sounds like it's getting warm. I mean, it's going to be really nice this weekend. So people down there are going to be happy about that. Let's see, what's it say? It says about 45. I thought last I checked.
I'm not bringing a jacket, guys. It's just not happening.
Not bringing a jacket.
Nope, short sleeve shirts and shorts. Let's go.
So it's going to be. Oh, it says back down to 39 on Saturday. But that's warm for this time of year.
Great. Psych, I'm bringing a jacket.
So yeah, we got Dane here. He was at the Jay County regional, but a couple things college-wise before we get into high school stuff and international. Nick Lee won his wrestle-off Saturday.
Yeah, matched Yanni D, right?
Yeah, they it looked like Yanni got a concussion. Finished the match, which is kind of is interesting because you could see when he hit his head, and then he wrestled really well. Okay, hold on. He wrestled pretty well in spurts, and then didn't do too well afterward. So I love banning.
How crazy is it that in the state semifinals we had the world champ versus the representative for the U.S.
That's
when
crazy.
Nick Lee was a freshman and Stefano was a senior.
Yeah, Hayden Lee wrestled 2 world medalists and won state championships, Kayla and Micic.
Pretty impressive, like the level of wrestling, like internationally. I was gonna put something on the list, but I forgot. How about like if I told both of you guys are both gentlemen of the state, there was one community that had 2 guys representing different nations wrestling for the world, trying to wrestle for the Olympics. Would you have picked Cedar Lake, Indiana? Ashton Matua just like won the Nigerian national championship to like try to qualify for the Olympics.
Who did?
Out of Hanover. Ashton Matua. So they can have the Serbian representative and the Nigerian representative.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
It's the melting pot of America in Cedar Lake.
Yeah. I live by Cedar Lake. It's not the melting pot of America, though, which is wild.
What the? Okay. I don't know, lots of people are a little angry today. So, yes.
They don't want to. They want that Newcastle one. That's going to be a different day, guys. We're going to try to hit off 4. Yep. We're going to go Fort Wayne tonight. That's why we got Dane on.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to do Fort Wayne. Some other things. Keep seeing this every so often, and I kind of forget about it. Blake Borman's having a real good season at Tennessee Chattanooga. Just want to make sure that keep an eye on him. I know he's ranked in the 20s-ish, but it's pretty good. He's having some good year there, so keep an eye on him at 133. Sergio, our guy Super Surge. That was a...
we were texting during that. That was pretty wild. 0-0 first. Joe, when he went underneath, Joe was like, man, not a good move.
I tried deleting that text really quickly. I could not.
It was like instantly, too.
Yeah.
I think you willed to victory, Joe.
Yes. Sergio, as soon as I got that, he got a little hip heist right into him, put him to his back, and then had him stuck at the end. That was really cool. Did you get to see any of that, Dane? Or
I was at basketball, and my buddy Matt, who you guys have met the last couple of years at state, he's an avid Big Ten watcher on Fridays and Saturdays. he texted me and alerted me to it, so I was able to watch the third period.
Nice. Yeah, he that was real cool. And I know like Sergio wasn't exactly wanting to wrestle, going to redshirt this year, and they threw him to Wolves, and now he knocked off a number one guy, returning finalist. So yeah, that's pretty good for him, and pretty good, to see him doing well. He's a pretty good kid and good family. Sometimes his mom gets you mixed up with your brother, but
yeah. His dad Derek's a good dude, and Jose is there. He's a good dude. I seen Jose and Elaine were both there. It was their senior night for Michigan. So a lot of Indiana guys in the lineup, which was really cool.
Yeah, and 3 guys that wrestled at the Dream Team.
Yeah, you said it wasn't a good night for the Dream Team, though.
Other than Davison. That's the one that counts. That's the one we hear about. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. The only other thing, Indiana beat Michigan State yesterday. That's a pretty crazy duel. Indiana was down 18-0, got a real 141, had a crazy review that the guy, he was behind him with a millisecond left, and they gave him a takedown after review and ended up winning it. So pretty cool for IU. They're wrestling. That's their third Big Ten win, so it's been a while probably since they've won 3 Big Ten matches. So
yeah, my next door neighbor was at the match. They went down Saturday night and watched it and said the atmosphere was great, and they felt like they've been going the last couple of years, and there seemed to be a bigger crowd. There's a little bit more excitement around that program here.
Yeah. And your guy. You're not going to mention anything about your boy? Ruba?
I was hoping you're going to say Ike. He got the win.
Yes. Yeah, he got it.
A lot of people in Decatur really excited and proud of Ike and making the lineup and getting the chance and seizing the moment. And it's just crazy to see him come around. He's grown so much, right? He's gotten taller. He's gotten stronger, and he's wrestling way above what he was when he was in high school. But he continues to develop. Really, I know we've talked about it on the show a couple times, but like there was a time where we didn't think that Ike was even going to wrestle in college. Like he was kind of burnt out from the sport, and then I think he found that love that he had from when he was a little kid when he got to Purdue, and he's just gotten so much better in the last year. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, and he's an awesome kid too, man. That's good to hear.
He's
kid. Really good people.
Good family. Yeah, I looked at him, I'm like, oh crap, he wrestled, and so yeah, it was really good for him to get a good win, get a Big Ten win, and got in the lineup and made the most of it. That's always good. So, Newcastle will be either Tuesday or Thursday. We're still trying to figure that out because Mike can't really. Evansville will be Wednesday. We do know that. There's going to be another special guest. You can probably figure out who that is. Son just won a middle school state championship. Give a shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Little B, right?
Yeah, Little B kicking some butt, middle school state. So got he 2 champs in the family now. So Dustin might be on the way out since they got a new champ. So anything else we want to go over? I guess anything from this weekend that we want to talk about, or just go over the brackets? There wasn't.
I think, how are the team races out there? I mean, I didn't get to look at them all. I know you said a couple of them were coming down tight, right?
Yeah. Carroll, that's where I headed, just down the road, and it was pretty good. Garrett had about a 10, 12-point lead going in the finals, and kind of looking at the matchups is like, you're kind of almost like the Adam Central thing last week. You're like, did they hit, close to their max, and they had 3 head-to-heads with New Haven and lost all 3 of them. So yeah, they had a real close one at 113, and New Haven kid Cooper came back and won. 120 was a match, another kind of toss-up match that they, real close, and then 215, it basically came down to that one, and it was the New Haven kid won as they did in the duel, so that sealed it for him. But it came down to 2 matches left in the day. Real cool, good, good for the sport to see those teams battling it out, and you could tell both the coaches knew kind of what was at stake in that match, and it was good regional, and there's some good top level competition there this weekend.
Yeah, they're going to have to get Coach Lynn a new trophy case at the rate that he's going this year after winning the state title on the girls' side and now winning a regional on the boys' side. We had him on the show on Sunday, and such a great guy, somebody who's very gracious and sort of deflecting credit to his assistants and stuff. But, I mean, he's taken that program and made them contenders in the area, and it's been really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We were just kind of talking a little bit. I think they'll be in the mix this week too. I think they have a lot of strong individuals, and I'm sure we'll talk about when we get in the bracket. It looked like East Noble pulled out ahead of Prairie Heights, 109-99. Good for Coach Reese. And then he got to spend the whole day at middle school state, right?
Yep. No rest. no rest for all reason. And then Delta won and Oak Hill won. So
yeah, Oak Hill had the most surprising team win, I think. I expected Western to come out of there, but we talked to Coach King on the show last night, and they just had a lot of depth.
Guys?
What's that?
Picked up
He did
first
pick
time.
up. He did pick up first time. But they scored a lot of points. I mean, they were way over what I thought they were going to be, and they're bringing a lot of guys to the Coliseum, and that Peru regional, I know Rex talked about it on the show yesterday, but that Peru regional's gotten a lot better in the last 4 or 5 years with how good Oak Hill and Western have gotten. Then, of course, Rochester was in there up until last year, so they've had the semi-state champ on the team side the last 2 years. So it's a little bit different than it was maybe 10, 15 years ago.
I think it's been more than because didn't Western and Oak Hill win it before that?
No, you're probably right. Yeah, it has been.
It's been about 4 or 5 years that Peru Regional has won. So we gotta change that. Can't let them have all the glory. So, we got a first time guest, Pat Day. Welcome. He got featured on the graphic today. That he had 11 days to state, 11-second pin. So,
pretty good. I was there for that.
Yeah, I mean, not very long, but he obviously.
I was there the whole day. It was just like towards the end, right?
yeah.
He was trying to get everyone home safe.
Yeah. So.
Hey, speaking of 11-second pins, Johnny Cruz had one for Bluffton on Saturday. Belmont sophomore heavyweight Grady Baker won a huge match in the blood round to advance, and then got to wrestle Cruz, and Cruz just right off the whistle, blast double straight onto Baker's stomach, flat for the fall. I feel like Cruz, I know heavyweight we'll probably cover at the end, but Cruz is kind of bitter about the way last year ended with him losing it in the opening rounds at semi-state. That guy is so big. Yeah. So big and so strong.
Yeah, he lost to Hartle Road. I remember that match, and I was really impressed with Hartle Road in that match. So heavyweight's gonna be a pretty good weight class. So I think anything else? You said you were at Hobart. They came down. Yeah. It was pretty close late.
Yeah, going the last round, I was close. I figured we just covered during the East Chicago one, but it was like their Lake Central was up 2 going into the last round, and then they kind of pulled away. But I mean, both teams wrestled really well, Lake Central and Maryville. So, yeah. Well, I mean, Lake Central coming back to the regional first time in a while. I think it was their first regional championship in like 22 years. They said.
Nice, good.
I'm giving all the credit. I mean, the coaches have done a good job. I know Nate Fowler. He's first year there. I said he's good luck. They got my guy. Everyone got a black polo. My guy got a blue polo. Now they won the sectional. They won the regional. Now he has to win the blue polo to semi-state, see if it's good luck. He wins semi-state, maybe.
Nice. That's going to be a tall task. So
yeah, it's going to be tough.
Here we go. Hopefully everyone can hear us. Fort Wayne semi-state. I have some pretty cool graphics I'm going to release later this week with a little bit fancier brackets than just our regular ones. So 106, Charlie Fleshman from Central Noble, sophomore, versus Titus Loshi, Jailer Gould, and Manny Mora, one of the many Oak Hill guys you mentioned. Fleshman's the only one with a number. I don't know. I mean, Loshi obviously is a common name in the South Adams area, and I'm sure you've seen Gould too. Gould had another solid young guy from Leo. So don't really know too much about this. This could be a pretty wide open bracket here.
Yeah, I think Loshi was in the semi-state rankings earlier in the year when he picked up a couple of wins over the Belmont and wrestler, and he beat the Adam Central wrestler Miles Carr, who's further down the bracket. It's kind of survive and advance. His dad's the first-year head coach at South Adams, but I think when they look at the draw that they got, probably a pretty favorable one. I have not seen Central Noble wrestle this year, so I don't know much about Fleshman, but it's definitely an interesting quarter bracket. Loshi and Carr have gone back and forth for 3 weeks in a row now, and that's been a good rivalry between a freshman and a sophomore. And I think it's the fourth time they've wrestled each other this year.
Jeez. So.
Yeah, I know Loshi and Fleshman. I know Fleshman was on the watch list. I think Loshi was in the rankings for a little bit. He had a couple losses. I think at Team State kind of dropped him out. But you're right. The win over Ben Mills kind of got him in to the state rankings. But that should be a good one. I thought Fleshman had a really good summer. That's kind of put him on. He has his 4 losses. Brock McCartney, Ian Barry, Columbia City, Griffith Byram, and Jackson Jean of Bloomington South. So, he pinned Titus Loshi this year too, 129.
Nice.
So that could be a pretty good opening round matchup. I thought, like I said, like looking at like summer results, I thought Fleshman did a pretty good job, which kind of got him in the mix.
Yep. Then next quarter bracket, number 1, Jensen Boyd from Delta, Carter Sheepdog from Angola, Bryant Petit, and Ian Barry of the Fighting Blaine Culps. Barry, a pretty solid freshman, but that's a pretty tough task with Boyd.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of the Belmont kids at school today. We were talking about the 106 bracket, and we were talking about what we thought of Boyd, having seen him again for the third time this year in the Belmont schedule. And I asked them all, like, do you see anybody touching him at semi-state on Saturday? And all of those boys were like, nah, Boyd is going to win on Saturday. He's the real deal, and he's going to be right there here in another week in Evansville.
Yeah, he's really good. He's kind of held that number 1 spot the whole year, undefeated. How many undefeateds are we down to now, Joe?
That's a great question.
55?
It was like 60 some. I heard one we lost one undefeated, and he got very upset about that. From what I've let's see. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, I agree with all the students at Belmont. It sounds like I think Boyd's the favorite to win the semi-state there. I think he's been an awesome. I mean, Ian Barry's had a really good season too. That's probably like of all the draws when you're 2, that's the one you don't want.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at it, you're like, I'll take anybody else. I mean, they're all going to be tough. All the champs are pretty tough, but getting Boyd's going to be a tall order. But you guys, we were just kind of talking off air, like Fort Wayne likes to like clump up really good guys in the quarters, and there's always like one match that's crazy. So
yeah.
Maybe it'd be Ian Barry's time.
Yeah, the Columbia City always pulls out some the one guy that beat your Belmont guy a couple years ago just came out of nowhere and just got beat by him pretty badly at conference and stuff, and everyone kind of wrote him off. And next thing you know, he's punching.
That was Litchfield.
Okay, yeah.
They beat Litchfield in the ticket round with that one, sure.
Yeah, so you can't overlook a fighting Culp. So yeah. We're down to 37 undefeated wrestlers.
Oh man, I was way off. 37 left.
Yep, 37 left. We'll lose, I think, 6 at least, most likely more. But so it'll be interesting. I bet we have less than 20. I bet we almost lose half. Yeah. So next quarter bracket: Juliana Ocampo, New Haven. Looking to punch her ticket for the third time. Hunter Duncan, North Miami. Braden Boz of the Fighting Brett Smiths. And then Griffin Byram of Jay County. Man, I didn't realize he was a junior. That should be an interesting match. 7-20. Byram, I'm fairly positive he's a bigger 106, which could give Ocampo a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, he's wrestled really well the last 3 weeks. Obviously, he won the ACAC. He won the sectional. He takes second to Boyd at the regional. The Jay County coaches are fairly familiar with Juliana, having watched her on the boys' side of things and on the girls' side of things for the last few years. They're going to have a game plan for that match. I still think Ocampo wins there, just from what I've seen of her this year, and I've seen her wrestle probably a dozen times. But you're right, Byram is sort of that bigger physical wrestler who sometimes creates problems for her.
And I think the bulk of his losses were up at 13. I know at some point he had a pretty good who's who of losses at 13 before he came down. Both of those wrestlers came down from 13. I thought that was a smart move for Ocampo. Hopefully, and I'm sure they would disagree, but on our end, if the girls to sanction this could be her last go at getting a medal. And that could be a tough tick-around match. Probably again a real tough one that you're not looking at. She was the semi-state runner-up last year. Her only loss to Swarthwood. That'd be a good one.
Mm-hmm. And then another.
We interviewed Juliana at Girls State after she won with her sister, and we asked her about sort of that whole dynamic, and she kind of just defaulted to what her long-term goals are, and I think she, in the last year or two, has kind of realized that she's got bigger aspirations. Yeah. And if she ends up not being able to wrestle with the boys her senior year, I think that attitude has changed a little bit. She's obviously going to go down as potentially the best girl in the modern era for the girls wrestling side of things. But to qualify a third time, even if she doesn't get a chance as a senior, it's a heck of an accomplishment for her.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Definitely.
You think that was a tough conversation at the house? Hey, I'm down to 6. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to leave the lineup.
Yeah.
I know personally, having that, if I had to have that conversation with my brother, there'd be a lot of fights.
Who would win?
Me. Now I don't know. Now maybe him. Now he's taller, bigger than me. But
do you have to default
back then, definitely.
Do you have to default to how many times did you lose to Alex Sertzis?
Man, he's 100%. He has them. Alex is 256. So should have an asterisk and get Tony a little bit of a shout out. He had to wrestle the most of anyone in the state.
Tony's watching too.
He knows he's not. He's very aware of how many times he had to go against Alex Sertzis. Yeah, the worst. And this is we're getting off subject. The worst is one time. Alex bumped up when Alex was 130. He bumped to 135. We had an undefeated wrestler at 135, and he was weighing in at 140 that day. And Watkins was like, we got to get Alex to match. Tony, go and bump you up. He's like, why, man? Why are we gonna bump up? Why do we got to give him a match? He's not on our team.
Tony's 16 matches or something like that against him.
We wrestled. I think he wrestled 1 year at the Harvest, the conference. We did a dual and an individual. The Trikoff, we saw him. The Lake County, I think he was in the finals of them at Lake County, East sectionals, regionals. So a lot. And we wrestled him in a Wednesday night or Tuesday night duel. And every time Watkins made sure that Tony got that match. So
hey, he was trying to. Tony should just sort of had that vision quest and could have gone after him, beating him.
Yeah, that's what I think 256 of those guys were probably saying too.
So, poor Tony.
We weren't as keen on the scouting side back then.
Just one more time, Coach. I think I can beat him this time.
No, that was never said. We never said that. It was hey man, why don't we just miss him this time? It's kind of how I felt about Rio and Dickman on a way separate spectrum. Why do you keep going the same weight as him?
Yes. So last little off topic. The last quarter bracket, Rexmore, Manchester undefeated. He's another one. It's kind of a theme here. A lot of these guys and girls have dropped down from 113. He was kind of a surprise going back down to 113 to 106. Boston Blake of Carroll. Miles, is it Carr?
Yes.
Carr of Adams Central. And then Cole Carper of the Fighting Maggots. So we're just gonna start calling teams like after their coaches. So
I reject that because I think Jimtown Jimmy's has one of the best
Yes.
like school names. They're not a warrior or a tiger or a gladiator or a Spartan. The Jimtown Jimmys, I like that.
yes. So yeah, Carper had a good year. Has had a pretty solid year. Placed at Al Smith and is, he's had he wrestled some good guys, so that should help him as he has a tough ticket round match.
He was the lone placer for the Jimtown Jimmys at the Al Smith, correct?
Yes. So thoughts? Any other comments on 106? Other than it should be some.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's hard to know, like, looking at who came out of that Peru regional, nobody else in that Peru regional outside of Moore was ranked by Caleb at 106. So it's kind of be interesting to see how far Moore goes there. 32-0 and ranked top 10 in the state, but we see it so often. The guys who have battled week after week, sectional and regional, and they're ready for semi-state. Sometimes that's a tough task to not really be tested in those 2 weeks leading up, and then all of a sudden you got to be ready to go.
Yeah, you got to be ready to go right off the scale. There's no easy matches once you get there. So 113, Carrington Cooper New Haven Senior had a real good match in the finals, as we kind of alluded to. Beat Swarthwood. Kind of real wild match. Came from behind. Zach Reno from Westell, Ian McVicker of Mississinawa, and then Keelan Fuller of East Noah. So that I did not look this up, but I'm sure they wrestled at conference. So that should be Fuller. I'm sure probably beat him because he's ranked higher. I'm just assuming that much.
I thought that was a really good move for New Haven to kind of bump those guys down. I think 13 looks like it's a better way for Cooper. That's a huge one over Swarthwood. I was really impressed with Swarthwood at Al Smith. Keelan Fuller, I feel like the guy has been in high school forever, man. Like, honestly, I think there was like one point I didn't even have him in the rankings. Like, is he still there or did he graduate? And I just didn't update my spreadsheet. But that'll be a good ticket round. Was he a qualifier 2 years ago?
No, he was real close a couple years ago. He beat Cooper 6-2 at conference, it looks like. So, no, he did not qualify. He was in the ticket round, because I know he beat Carroll Kid. And he's kind of dangerous. He'll put you in some funky positions and pin you. So, yeah, he beat Cooper 6-2 and lost to Salazar 8-6. So, it tells you, he's at a pretty much... Those are pretty even wrestlers. Obviously, Caleb has them both ranked in the semi-state. I think Caleb only lost like 5 guys at regional. So
all right, Joe, we know he does a good job.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Well, you got the best one. Is you got a guy that was 5th at sectional, got pulled back in, and then won. So he made it back. So you got the.
But he knocked off a guy that was ranked in the semi-state too.
So he got like re-energized. So anything you see here, Dane?
No, I'm seeing Sam post that he's a 2-time ticket rounder, and I think you look at those guys who have been to that level and come back for another year, and they're so hungry to get that next win, and I think that really bodes well for a guy like Fuller because they know what it feels like to lose that match, and they've worked all year long to get to the point to have another chance to move on.
Yeah. And then going down, lots of numbers here. Aiden Bollinger having undefeated, another good year right now. Was turning third place. He was third last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. From Delta, he has Tyler Tunn, who's ranked 8th in the semi-state. Not the draw he wanted. Cole Hinkle, number 20, senior from Goshen's, had a pretty solid season, and then Braylon McIntyre from North Miami, number 22. So we got 3 ranked guys. That's how we do it in Fort Wayne. We bunch them all up.
Shout out to Rex. Just sent me the mock-up of this shirt, though, man. It looks good. I'm excited.
He's trying to rent a T-shirt cannon.
Dude, if we can get one, I'll shoot it. Tyler Tubb has spent some time in the rankings, too. I know he kind of waffled. Like, he was in the bracket at 6 at Al Smith and went to 13. I'm sure when they made that choice, that's a tough cut. Like, that's probably not the draw they were looking for. I mean, we can all agree on that. I mean, anyone can get beat, but Aiden Bollinger's pretty good. McIntyre has had a good year, 35-3. And Hinkle's tough, man. Hinkle's a big 13. Also a tough draw there. I mean, anything could happen, but I mean, Bollinger, you guys said dominated the semi-state last year, right?
Yeah, he looked real good last year and hasn't really been pushed too much this year. So, on a good side of the bracket to easily should make the finals again this year.
I mean, outside of the next quarterfinal, this is kind of like champ-wise, kind of got seeded pretty well. Not that they seed it, but if you were to seed the champs, this is probably how you would do it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, that's how I would. I mean, yeah, those were the champions were seeded, would have been seeded in that manner. So, yeah, going down. This is the epitome of Fort Wayne. Jalen Sawyer May, Kokomo. Versus Caden Braden. And then Braden Jude of Leo has Levi John. So you got 4 and 7. 2 guys with state medals battling it out for a spot in the ticket round. Luckily, if Johns loses, he still has 1 more year. But Johns took his first loss to Bollinger, and his reward is Jalen Sawyer May.
And there were a lot of people from the Jay County area, Jay County Regional, who saw that one and kind of cringed because we know how good Levi's been the last couple of years. We know how good Bollinger is. And then you look at drawing May in the quarter and you think Johns might have a chance in a different draw to reach the finals, and now he may not even be advancing. So that's a tough one for Bluffton.
Yeah, and I think obviously we could talk ad nauseum, it just doesn't happen. Like, if there's a true Russell back to third, I think that he's in. Like, he might be the third best guy there. He might be the second best guy there. And I think that's an unfortunate thing, the way that works out. But that'd be a good match. I mean, Jalen May, 11-0, missed a lot of the season. I'm sure they're not happy for that draw. I'm sure they're not like they didn't get that bracket and we're super excited for it either.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, he could have drawn into anyone, Salazar or Cooper, and gets the worst one possible. So, next quarter bracket: Caleb Salazar, number 15, Braden Shannon from Western, Kale Beer from Adams Central, and then Abram Swathwood of Garrett, of 15 and 16. Swathwood beat Salazar twice at the Al Smith. Going to have to prove it. Just like you do in playing horse in the ticket round, which is going to be, both those guys get after it, and it could be a wild match. It wouldn't surprise. The first couple matches were a lot of good scrambles, and Swathwood came out on top, but it doesn't take much in those scrambles. You come out on top, and it's a different outcome.
Yeah, I was really impressed with both of those guys. Obviously, we got to see Caleb Salazar a lot. Qualified through East Chicago last year. Was in the finals of the Al Smith the year before, or the semifinals, right? Semifinals of the Al Smith before. Had a really good match with Ocampo. And Swathwood was really impressive. I thought he had even the match with Gavin Lewis in the semis at the Al Smith. I thought was really good. I think he had Lewis on his back for a little bit, and then Lewis ended up getting the fall. So that'll be an interesting ticket round match too. I think the big thing is, like, a lot of these guys, we're talking ticket round and like possibles. Like, you can get tripped up in that first round, like in looking past guys.
Yep, that happens all the time in year. Or guys see that they have a tough draw and kind of cash it in when it happens. So
yeah. Who's gonna be this year's Jared Dunn, right? With his name, Jared Dunn out there got. Miller, and then got another headlock in the ticket round and got a fall when he was losing big.
Oh, yeah. Yes. He ran it all the way to the semifinals.
Yeah.
Or finals of semi-state. So, any other comments on 13, Dane?
No, just I look at that last quarter bracket, and I think Salazar, a senior, versus Swathwood, a freshman, if that's the way that it pans out, that's such a compelling storyline to have a senior put his career on the line against a freshman who, has had a great season and is starting to be discussed as a potential like 4-time state qualifier and one of these guys who's going to be a legend at his school. And so much of that rides on that one single 6-minute match. It's just so much fun to be a part of that and to sit, on the ice right next to it and watch it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to coach right now. Just looking at these matches, and it's fun, but it's also just heart-wrenching to be in those matches. I can get to sit up in a nice perch and enjoy it, and root for the underdogs, root for the craziness, and root for the refs to not make bad calls. So
now, Joe, are you going to make an appearance on WZBD?
I don't know. Maybe I will.
Can we pull you in for a couple matches?
Sure. I mean, I'll be. I'll have to get off my out of my my perch, out of the throne. They have a throne for me at the Coliseum now. When you host events there, they give you a throne if you go. So, so 120. You got Blake Byerly of the Fighting Reasons, Cameron Baker of Garrett. I'm sure they wrestled previously. Braden Raber, returning state qualifier, versus Henry Farrow. Pretty solid quarter bracket. How did I assume Farrow probably beat Byerly, or
he did?
Yeah, he majored him. Farrow was in the finals again this weekend. Kind of funny. Farrow and Hunter Douglas wrestled for 3rd and 4th at the NE8, and then wrestled each other for the sectional title and for the regional title. Farrow beat him 2 weeks ago, and Douglas has won the last 2. But I kind of like Farrow's draw here as far as what the possible ones were. He's right up there with them, but Riley's had an awfully good career, and he's been pretty darn good all year long. I do know that Farrow beat him on his feet, I feel like, when they wrestled earlier in the year, but I saw Raber once at New Haven, and once again, you got that senior versus freshman dynamic that's just really interesting, especially in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nick said that Byerly beat Baker 6-2, so that's not gonna be an easy. You're thinking as a 4 or as a 1, you're gonna get, a nice warm up match. I mean, you're probably expecting to go 6 minutes, but not a 6-4 match, and so that's a pretty wide open quarter bracket. Obviously, for Oates, he's gonna be a freshman. He's gonna be coming in there with that. I don't care. I have 3 more shots here, and Raber probably, a lot of pressure to repeat, and that could be. I mean, there's a lot of storylines that can play in there where Farrow just doesn't care and just gets after it, and obviously they're 4 and 5 in the semi-state, so that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. What did Byerly? He was because he came from Alabama, right? He has been in the rankings a bunch. He was injured last year, correct?
Yeah, I think he got injured late in the season.
He's a big move guy, right? We kind of talked about that before. So he can get on a heater, and who knows? But he's tough. That'll be a good one. Raber and Farrow will be a good one for a short match.
Yeah. And then another freshman, Sean Harris of Leo, having a real good state series. He has Reed Schaefer of Prairie Heights, and then you had ranked matchup K. Jackson Delta versus Jordan Correct of North Miami, a 15 and 22, and a 2 and 3 in the semi-state. So somebody's losing a ranked guy.
Yeah, Jackson beat Farrow earlier in the year in the dual meet when Belmont beat them in December, and that kind of catapulted him up ahead of Farrow in that group of guys. But Farrow beat him in the finals Saturday at Jay County. I saw Correct at Team State at Rochester. That's one of the marquee first-round matchups at the Coliseum on Saturday. But I know Harris, he split with Farrow earlier this year too, so there's a lot of familiarity with these guys at 120. I feel like a lot of these guys were 120 at the start of the year and have been there all year long, and that kind of helps with getting a lot of commons and a lot of head-to-heads.
Yeah. Jordan Cord, great job by North Miami. I think they've done a really good job. just seeing some of their results, team results, and like seeing how many guys they're bringing and the guys that they put in the mix. That could be a big match going for the team race too. I'm sure we'll talk about that more, but Delta is gonna, not I don't know if they're the favorite. They probably are the favorite. You get Cade Jackson through. I mean, he could possibly be in the finals there, or that's a huge first round match.
Yeah, even scoring points winning that first round match is big, and he could. I mean, like you said, he could be in the finals or he could lose first round. Which, Dane has a question, or Blaine has a question for you, Dane.
Is it posted? I can't see it yet.
Yeah, says, "Are you good?"
Yeah, that's like the third time today. That's okay. I'm good, man. I love you.
So, next quarter bracket, this will be a really good one. Tanner Tishner and Bowen Keith. Keith qualified for state 2 years ago, I believe, if I'm correct. I know it wasn't last year. Tanner Tishner, senior, 2 seniors going at it. Keith likes to, he qualified out of the 4th spot when he, 2 years ago, so he's not afraid to pull some upsets, and you're going to get, Tishner, I know, came down from 26, going to get him off the scale. I think, was Keith down up at 126? He might have been up also. You got Zach Brown, he has a real nice band from Lakeland, and then Lane Snyder of Eastside, so you got a little NECC rivalry right in the first round.
Yeah, for Bowen Keith, his twin brother Rafe got knocked in the first round on Saturday, so he's kind of carrying the torch for the whole set of twins there. So that's an interesting storyline as well. I saw Lane Snyder earlier in the year, and he looked really, really solid. Whoever he would wrestle in the ticket round, that should be a great match.
Yeah, I thought he's wrestled really well. I thought Eastside has done a good job. Same thing as I said with North Miami. I think Eastside's done a really good job. I was kind of surprised that Tishner stayed down. I thought he'd move back up to 26 after Al Smith. There's 2 losses for Al Smith, but he's going to be in the mix there. I'm sure he's looking for a state championship. And you want to get far away from the Eddie Goss, Tanner Tishner rivalry if you could. So Eddie Goss stayed at 32 and Tishner stayed at 120. But that'll be a good one. I mean, Tishner's really good.
Yeah, yes, he is. Then the last quarter bracket, Hunter Douglas, Norwell, Colin Tarleton, Oak Hill, Timmy Roca, New Haven, and Aiden Hartman from the Jimmies. Douglas, I know, was in and out of the lineup early, had some injuries and come back, and he's wrestling real well right now, which is, I think he came into semi-state last year with like very few losses, if any, and didn't make it out, but he's pretty tough, and that's he's in a good spot right there.
Yeah, Roca's beaten him 2 or 3 times this year, which is kind of surprising based on what I've seen from Douglas the last 3 weeks. But that's like I said, is a really strong class in the NE8 at 120 because you had Douglas and Farrote wrestling for 3rd and 4th, and then Roca and Byerly, I think, were the ones who made the finals there.
Yeah. So Roca says 2 wins over him by 5-4, and should only be 1. So yeah, Roca beat Douglas 5-4. So that'll be, you get to prove it in the ticket round. That's always fun. So, anything, Mike?
No, I think that'd be an interesting one. No ranked wrestlers in there, state ranked guys, but a lot of guys in the mix. I know Roko's in the watch list, Aiden Hartman's on the watch list, Hunter Douglas. I think I know he might have been the preseason rankings. Sometimes the preseason rankings end up better than the last one. So,
so 126, Cody Rawlis from Jay County, Boston Baz from Prairie Heights, Caden Bendick from Homestead, and Trip Hazley from Madison Grant. So, one ranked guy here. Rawlis been to state twice, I believe. So
I believe so too.
Yeah.
One of our listeners is correct. It was Harris from Leo who ended up winning the NE8. So that's 5 guys from the NE8 who, have been really, really good this year. That was a really deep weight class at that conference.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good
one. Rouse was all over. The headlock was killer on Saturday. It was awesome. He stuck Mosier in the semifinals, and then that was Mosier's first loss of the year. And then after getting beat by Braden Daniels from Union City at the sectional finals, Rouse comes back and picks up the win and wins it for the bearded Myers of Jay County.
Good to hear that. Then going down, we got a real good article on Mr. Drew Walden today. So he has Jason Prow of Norwell, a little Northeast 8 rivalry there. Then you got Keegan Hallis and Ryan Kokendorfer from Garrett. So 2 sophomores and 2 juniors. Walden's having a real good season after qualifying last year.
Man, Prow is dangerous. He was down 7, 8, 9 points, I feel like, in the blood round Saturday, and came back and got a fall, like at the buzzer, 6 minutes to advance and sort of shock people at that weight. So that's a guy that you can't count out. And of course, they're really familiar with each other being in the same conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's some really good notable wins. It's kind of one of those guys we've talked about off the air, Joe, that he's beat a lot of really good guys that are in the rankings, guys that are like right on the cusp of the rankings. I like Drew a lot. I think Drew's really good. I think he's finally adjusting to that jump from 13 to 26. I think he's wrestling really well. And I like Ryan Kokendorfer too. At Al Smith, he came up and told me how to say his name. I wrote it, phonetically so I could get it right. I think he had a tough loss to Carter Krause. But, he's here in the semi-state, and I think he'll have a good career going forward.
Could have a little DeKalb County battle in the ticket round. That's always fun. So, going down, talking about real good names. Hickson Love, freshman from Marion, won Peru Regional. This would be a really interesting bracket. 4 semi-state ranked guys. Hickson Love versus Nolan Butcher, 2 freshmen. Butcher's hit a little bit of a wall this past week, but has had a real good run the past few weeks. He's in a good spot to be coming in as 4. Then you got Will Hahn from Northwood and Braden Daniels from Union City. So Union City Daniels might be the favorite there. I do not know the last time Union City qualified somebody, but I will tell you here in a few minutes.
Man, so I've been doing this weekly spot basically. I jump on with Dane once every Sunday for about, sometimes it's a couple minutes, sometimes a little longer. And we never, we kind of shoot a couple texts about what we're going to talk about, but I feel like Dane always hits me with one I'm not really ready for. And he was like, how about Braden Daniels, man? You know what? He got 1 loss. And I was like, I know he's from Union City. I know he's pretty tough. And it just caught me off guard. So it wasn't something he prepared me for. And it looks like he put himself in a pretty good spot here, 34-2. Top side, he's going to have a tough first-round match with the Northwood kid, Will Hahn. But when you're a junior and you got, 36 matches, only 2 losses, you like your spot there. It could have been a lot tougher. There's a lot of tough champs.
Do you think you can name the last state qualifier?
From Union City? Last name Lawrence?
No.
Okay.
Kyle Walters.
No.
Actually, Kyle is actually more recent than I thought it would be. Kyle Walters in 2012. Kyle Anderson in 2007. They've had 6 qualifiers, 1 placer. Matt Taylor in 91 was their only placer. He got 4th. There's a website for that.
That's a lot of people don't realize how small of a school that is. Union City is incredibly small down there in Randolph County, right on the border with Ohio. And it's a pretty cool accomplishment for them. I know I follow their athletic director and principal on Twitter, and they're really excited about it. They were tweeting out semi-state information today already, tweeting out links to Event Link and the Coliseum and those types of things. And that's one of the really cool parts. We talk about the big schools and the teams that are bringing 7, 8, 9 guys, but you've also got those teams who are bringing 1 guy, and they're going to bring 25, 30, 40 people there to root on their 1 guy for their 6 minutes and hope that he advances. And that's a really cool part of the atmosphere of semi-state because, with our current format in Indiana, for the most part, what would you say, 95% of teams qualify somebody for regional?
Yeah.
probably somewhere around there. But there's a lot of teams who don't get somebody into semi-state. And for a school like Union City, who's like half the size of a South Adams or an Adams Central, you get a guy to semi-state, they celebrate it. They'll have semi-state qualifier T-shirts and that kind of thing for Braden, and he'll have a big crowd rooting for him. And honestly, he'll have a lot of people from the J County sectional there rooting for him too.
Yeah. I'd be willing to bet there's like some pretty big 4A schools that didn't qualify some guys for semi-states.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Hopefully, like he could punch a ticket and make that hike to Evansville. That'd probably be pretty far for them. They've had some good guys in the past, though. They've had some guys that were on the watch list and stuff over the years. But I like the position he's in there.
Yeah, they have 246 people in their school per what I have. So, and then going down.
Well, you always have to give love to the TEC. You know that.
Yeah, yes, TEC. Did he win the TEC? Yeah, he must have. He did win the Tech. So
yeah, he lost in the finals at the ECIC to the kid from Columbus North, I think. That was his only loss outside of the match on Saturday to Rouse.
Jason Shuey, man. Jason Shuey's tough.
Shuey, yep.
So last quarter bracket, Carter Krause of TikTok fame.
What I heard.
From Snyder. He has Alex Owsley from Mechaniqua Senior. Neil Mosier has a couple state medals from Delta, and Cameron Center from Wawasee. Center was a state qualifier last year, not exactly where you want to be placed in the bracket with Mosier, who just took his first loss. I'm sure he won't be in a pleasant mood come Saturday morning.
You guys took these Wawasee guys that were or state qualifiers and gave them really, really tough draws, man. Yeah. I feel like there's a conspiracy theory against East Chicago semi-state here.
So, anything out of this quarter bracket? Actually, seems like none of these guys have probably hit up, which is rare compared to the other quarters we've been talking about.
That first match is gonna be pretty good. I mean, 24-5. Neil Mosier is incredibly talented, and then the winner of that with Krause, who also can hit some big moves and has some flashy stuff, and he's really good too. I think I'm sure that's probably not the draw they wanted, being a regional champ. Once you see like Mosier losing, I'm sure that's not the spot where you're going to be at, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, guys, April 19th, Tortured Poet coming out on Spotify.
So we'll go to 132. Returning state placer Carter Fielden against Brayson Shortgen from Adams Central, freshman.
You guys know what that is or no? I said that and you guys kind of like blank stared at me. That's like the new Taylor Swift. She announced it yesterday. Oh. I just got like
my daughter's all over it. Don't worry.
I try not
for our wrestling fans that don't follow, Tay Tay.
I don't. I just watch her at the Super Bowl. I just watch the Taylor Swift Chiefs.
Oh, Carter Krause is on.
Uh-oh.
Is he calling the dub?
He says, "I'll take any draw." He is the bad draw. That's the attitude to have.
Did he say that?
He said, "I'll take any draw." Well, you can't. I mean,
good man. That's the mentality.
Yep. You can't worry about a draw. Just go out there and wrestle. 132.
He's talented enough to win that. So
132. Carter Fielden of Garrett, sophomore returning state placer. Brayson Shortgen of Adams Central, having a real good freshman year for the Jets. And then Devin Adkins of Oak Hill and Lincoln Ratcliffe of Northwood. So obviously you got two ranked guys hitting first round, so that should be a real good one.
Yeah, I thought the freshmen from Adams Central have wrestled really well this year. I mean, Dane, you've seen those guys a couple of times. They have some really good young guys.
They've got a really talented freshman class, and Shortgen's been the one who has had the best season of them. He's got a couple of losses to Mosier, one of them on Saturday and one of them in dual meet. He lost to Stuffle on Saturday as well. And then I think the only other loss that he has this year is to Ryu of Avon at the New Haven Super 10. So he's really talented on the ride and on top. And I think for Shortgen, he's got a pretty good motor in him. And, if he's going to pull off the upset against Fielden, I think it's going to be one of those sort of outlast him type of matches. But I would not count him out as a potential upset winner there in that top quarter bracket.
Well, you hear that?
Joe, your rebuttal.
My rebuttal.
Hold it down for the Garrett community, Joe. What do you got for the Railroaders?
As an alumnus of the finest Garrett and the second semi-state qualifier in Garrett history, and I'm not kidding about that. Fielden's pretty tough, and he likes to put himself in positions that are not the most fun as a coach, but. That should be a good match. If you're not ready to wrestle, or, as a champ, if you're not ready to wrestle in the first round, you could be going home a little earlier than you want to. So,
that'll be a really good match. Obviously Carter won a big match Friday night last year, avenging a loss of Sessa. Had a good Al Smith, but that'll be a good one. So like the guys that are getting there, make sure you get there early because I think that'll be a really tough matchup.
Yep.
Devin Atkins, Oak Hill, really good senior, 37-3. I also like Lincoln Ratcliffe and Northwood. I think that'd be a good match also. That's a good quarter.
Yeah. Going down, you got Jackson Bradley, undefeated from Cowan, returning state placer. Braden Klauser from New Haven, junior with a ton of matches. Donovan Cunningham of Concord, the Minutemen, and then Eli Bowyer of Cass. So you have the token Concord versus Cass first round match. Who you guys have there?
Is that Lewis Cass?
That's Lewis Cass or Cass.
I think they used to come to East Chicago back or when it was Maryville.
I think they were switched over.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't know a lot about Donovan Cunningham or Eli Bauer, but I do like the Concord Minutemen name. I'm gonna go Cunningham. I'm picking like how I pick my NCAA basketball brackets.
You don't like the Cass? Is it Kingsman or King? Cass King?
They are the Kingsmen.
Kingsman.
No, I like the Minutemen.
So.
Yeah, Jackson Bradley is really good. I thought that was a good move for him also, coming down from 38 to 32. I think he's put himself in a good spot. In the semi-state to, compete it. And, I mean, kind of looking it over, I think he's going to be 2 medalists on the top side. They're probably not the best, but 29-0. And we love the Bradleys, man. They're always good people. AJ's my guy. I always try to give AJ a shout-out.
Yeah, Jackson looked great on Saturday. First period fall in the finals over Mosier. I think third time now that he's beaten him in the last month, if I remember right. And he's rocking. They're ready. Cowan had a really good day. They had 2 champs on Saturday. Coach Abbott has those guys ready, and Jackson was kind of the upset last year as a freshman, making it to the state finals, but he's not going to sneak by anybody this year with as talented as he's been. Update on Coach AJ, he was offered a broadcast spot for WZBD this weekend. He decided to stay home with his kids. That's rough.
He's a family man.
He is a family man.
I think AJ's still recovering from when Isaiah won the state championship. He had to go out the region that night. It's been a while. That recovery's tough. You guys have been there. We go hard.
Yes. Next half bracket, Ty Linzer of Western having a good senior year. Ahmed of East Noble, Zane Maple of Snyder, and then number 4 in the semi-state freshman Sam Mosier having a pretty solid season. Should be pretty positive. They probably wrestled, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they did not. No, they did not wrestle. So, I guess they didn't hit in the semis. Western and Delta at team state.
I always leave the Al Smith like a huge Ty Linzer fan. I think at the Al Smith both years, this year and last year, I walked away like, man, he is really good. I think he lost in the ticket round last year or his first round last year.
I think he lost in the first round last year.
And then So try to get one further. Sam Mosier's really good. I saw him wrestle LT Hawkins last year at ISWA. I think it was a 1-point match. I think it was 1-0. A really talented freshman. I'm sure you guys have seen him a couple times. Dane also. That'd be a good tick-around match. Again, huge team points for the team race. There's as many guys you can get through, and the bonus points you can pick up is going to be good.
And then the last quarter bracket, Grayson Beasley, Northridge senior, 34-1. Glenn Deuce Baldwin from Peru, Cole Stuffle,
Deuce,
and Ethan Confan, if I pronounce that right, from the Fighting Andy Oberlins. So 3 seniors battling it out. You got 6, 7, and 9 in the semi-state. So pretty real wide open quarter bracket there.
Yeah, I've seen Stuffle and Confon this year. From what I've seen so far, I would probably lean towards Stuffle. But that's kind of a cool quarter bracket because you've got some names that have kind of been on the edge all year long on the ranking side of things, and one of them is going to end up at the state finals.
Yeah. Confon lost to Beasley 5-4 earlier in the year. So,
wow.
5-3, sorry.
Grayson Beasley took that loss. It was like the first meet of the year.
Yeah.
At the Mike Atwood, I believe it was. Is that what he said? And he's been on a tear. There's been a bunch of Beasleys at Northridge, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, what constitutes a bunch? But I think there's been a couple.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. But yeah, that should be. That one's kind of an interesting quarter bracket. Should be some good matches there. You got 3 seniors and a sophomore, so the seniors are going to want to punch their ticket. 138, starting off.
Sorry, guys. I'm filling his brackets out as we go for my ultimate pick'ems here.
Oh, good. This is perfect timing.
So if you're taking the information I'm giving you here, I might be giving you false information. Caleb.
Next, 138, Lincoln Carter, East Side. Only 2 losses on the year, having a real good year. Looked real good this past weekend. Gabriel Newland of Kokomo, Maverick Duval. I think he placed at Freestyle State, from what I've heard. He placed at Freestyle.
He loved to update his profile.
Yes. And then Duval has Matthew Sen of Fairfield in the first round. So you got 12 and 18 in the state there.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dane. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Dubois was supposed to wrestle Sen, I think, at the AC invite in January. They got canceled because of that cold weather. So it's kind of disappointing that those two didn't get to wrestle. But I saw Carter at Goshen earlier in the year, back in November, and he looked awfully tough. Adams Central doesn't wrestle East Side anymore. They did for a while. They met at Team State a couple years ago. But Dubois has been taking his punishment from Tony Wood the last couple of weeks. It's been 3 weeks in a row. So you kind of have to view Dubois' record through that lens, because I do think that Tony Wood is the favorite to come out of this whole bracket as a champion.
I got to see Gabe Newland at the Harvest Classic this year too, and he threw a pretty good headlock in the finals and pinned a kid. So he's a big move. I mean, at least that day he was a big move guy. Lincoln Carter, I've been super impressed. Obviously, I ranked him 12 in the state. I think he's wrestling really well. I don't remember if he was unranked last year when he qualified, but I think he's really good. I was really impressed with him, and I thought he had a really good summer also.
Yeah, he lost 5-4 to Hayden DeMarco earlier in the season, so obviously that tells you he's pretty solid. I think his other loss is out of state at the Defiance Border Wars. Going down, you got another pretty solid quarter bracket. Tyson Kendall of Oak Hill, 38-2. I know he's been in the rankings here and there. Andrew Morales from Heritage, another senior, 24-4. Tatum Chambers of West Noble, and Justin Boone of Yorktown. The only one that's not semi-state ranked. Come on, Caleb. is the
I
champ.
know. I feel like Caleb's sleeping on Oak Hill here, man.
Hey, well, probably because Coach King doesn't answer his phone calls.
That's what I was thinking.
So, any comments on this one?
Go ahead.
Boone looked, really strong and aggressive on Saturday. Obviously, when you're wrestling Tony Wood, that changes things, but he made the finals for them. Morales has had an awfully good year for Heritage. That's a program that's trying to get the wheels going. Coach Litchfield over there is trying to make some progress. They were really excited. Morales has got a younger brother who's a freshman, and they're kind of carrying the torch for Heritage right now after Parker Hennessy got smashed by Johnny Cruz at the beginning of the year. But, as another one of those schools who, trying to gain momentum, trying to build. They've got a really energetic coach who's trying to do some things. And you can't help but root for those types of programs to find that success and that one wrestler that they have in a weight like this one at 138. I haven't seen Oak Hill wrestle this year, so I can't speak to Tyson Kendall all that much. But obviously Oak Hill had a really good day on Saturday, and Kendall was a part of that.
Yeah, coming as regional champ, 38-2. He's going to be the favorite there. I thought Boone and Chambers, that's a good match right off the bat. Yorktown, this senior class at Yorktown is going to help rebuild them to a little bit. I know they're in the team state contention. And I think Boone and Stuffle and some of those other guys were a big part of that. So I know that those guys are going to be looking to, kind of close out their careers, trying to, get Yorktown going again where they were. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever be what they were, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
When they were winning, this 2A state a lot, but I know they're trying to get back to that point.
Yeah. Going down, you got Cam Dews of Elkhart having a real good senior year. Jaron Frahiger of Southern Wells, Liam Bumgarner of Western, and Brian Barrett of Garrett. Dews, he's in the semis at Al Smith. Had a real good. Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah, I believe so. He had a really good Al Smith.
Yeah. Should be. He's he got in the last rankings, number 25. Bumgarner's number 10 in the semi-state.
Yeah, I think Cam Dews has been in and out. I think he took a loss somewhere along the line that kind of dropped him out of the state rankings. Sometimes a loss, you're attached to a loss, and if a guy that beats you kind of falls out, it's tough that way. It's not a perfect system, obviously, but it's close. So it's close, guys. But so buy more gross subscriptions, Silverback subscriptions. No, I really like Cam Dews. I thought I was really impressed with him at the Al Smith. He was in a really tough weight. 38 was really good.
Yeah, he has losses to Jackson Bradley, Caleb Kirkpatrick, who he beat also, Lavelle, and then Vander Lugaren. So solid losses, but I think maybe it might have been a win. Might have been the Petros win that might have dropped him. So,
Dane said he had to go for a little bit. He'll be right back. Okay. So enjoy his NASCAR Indy 500 picture while we talk.
NASCAR Indy 500. So then the last quarter bracket.
IndyCar, right?
Tony Wood versus Dallas Davidson of Angola. Kendai Koi.
Yep.
Okay. Against Grant Howard.
Panthers, Kendai Koi.
Yeah. Of Grant Howard of Madison Grant. So Koi had a girl good Al Smith too. So that should be an interesting. Him and Tony Wood. Wood's looking really good right now though.
Yeah, Tony's really good. He had a really good summer. 40-0. Really good career. I think he's kind of the forgotten guy at 38 when people are talking about who's contending for titles. And, you hear Shep and you hear Ison and you hear Kyrell. Like, Tony Woods is right in the mix with those guys. I know he's had some big wins. That's going to be a tough one. Kendi Coy, super explosive. I thought he wrestled really well at the Al Smith. I know he had some good matches. He had a really good match with Hornsby, Peyton Hornsby, new pal the week before that. got a little heated on the board, a little debate on the board, got a little heated.
So yeah, should be a good one.
Passionate. I don't want to say heated. It's heated sounds like it's gonna get fighting. It got passionate on the board.
So we will, and Wood decided that he wanted to get his money's worth at IPO this year and wrestled like 9 matches all the way back for third or fourth.
He lost it on, right?
Yeah.
Did he lose the first match?
I think it was his first match. So he wanted to get his money's worth, wanted to make sure his dad, very, very, very cognizant of, what it costs to go to tournaments like that and wrestle lots of matches. So just in time.
Talk about the goodness of Wood.
144 Easton Doster of New Haven, the Northeast State rivalry. Sam Wolpert of Belmont, probably not the number one you wanted to draw into. Riley King of North Miami, and Ethan Rodriguez of Wawasee. So you got 1 and 6 in the semi-state, but number one's having a pretty good year.
I heard he got a lot of presents also.
Yes, they're still wrapping them.
He was on the nice list. His dad wrapped Christmas presents for about 6 weeks. It took about 2 weeks to unwrap them. So,
Yeah.
No, he's really good.
Yeah.
I'm happy that he's been pretty healthy. I thought last year, I know he had some injuries, and he's one of the top guys in the state when he's healthy.
Yeah.
He had an awesome match last year, David Maldonado. I think it was a pretty bloody match. I know he spent some time up here in the region training with the Stanleys. Joe would send me some of the training video, those guys with him and Evan. And those dudes were going hard, man. Those guys are strong.
Yeah. Any comments on this one, Dane?
Yeah, for Sam, it's a tough draw. He's had a really good start to his career, freshman, sophomore year. He didn't make it to semi-state last year as a freshman. This year, he draws an awfully tough one and is potentially going to bow out in the first round. But he's a kid who's been working really, really hard. He's had a little bit of shoulder trouble this year, but a guy who I think is going to take this experience of wrestling Doster in the first round and sort of parlay it into next year and hopefully a couple of state berths as a junior and a senior.
Yeah.
Remember when Owen Doster got the double up at the Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic?
Yeah. He got to wrestle Luke Pletcher, an unhappy Luke Pletcher.
Yeah. The bro got to wrestle Luke Pletcher.
Yeah, that was a little bit harder to talk him into doing that. When I told Drew he was going to double up. He had no choice. And Owen, I had to be like, hey, it's gonna be okay, man. You get 2 singlets.
Dane, when you guys wrestled Wawasee early on, Ethan Rodriguez was injured in that duel, right? He was the one that was injured.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So it's good to see that he's having kind of a bounce back, and it doesn't look like he missed a ton of matches, but that sounded like it was a pretty serious thing early on.
He went to slam the door in Joe's face when we saw him coming down.
No,
oh, nice.
You're right. It was. Now I remember it. That's been so long ago. It was in November. Wolpert was wrestling Rodriguez and pinned him, and as he got pinned, he got hurt.
Yeah.
And that's it was like half an hour before they took him out by ambulance. So yeah, good to see that he's back in.
That's good. Going down, you got some more Adams County representation. Colton Bolenbacher from South Adams having a real good senior year. You got Aiden Pesic of the Concordia Cadets, Cohen Lundy of Elkhart, and David Connor of Kokomo. Only one guy with numbers beside his name, and Bolenbacher, it's been a little bit since South Adams had some Millers, so he's going to have to punch his ticket to state.
Yeah, it's been since AJ Dahl wrestled. It's been 4 years, I think, since South Adams has been at the state finals. I talked to Coach Loshi on Sunday after the draws came out, and I think his idea was, Colt earned this. He wins a sectional title, wins a regional title, wrestles really, really well, beats Ronimus, all of those types of things. Rex and I talked about it on the show. and on the broadcast, it was really cool to see the Adams Central and the Belmont wrestlers rooting for Colt on the sideline Saturday. Bullenbacher had a chance to get a fall. He was looking for the fall. He was getting near fall. And those Belmont and AC guys were slapping their palms, trying to get the referee to call a fall. That's the kind of cool stuff that a lot of people that don't go to a sectional and follow a team all the way through, like you build that camaraderie, that friendship of going through it week after week. And for a sectional like the Jay County sectional, where a lot of those teams wrestle each other in the ACAC the week before, it's a whole month of wrestling with the exact same guys and seeing the same people. And those are kind of cool stories. So it's great for Bullenbacher. He's got the great draw. He's been so good throughout his career. He's knocked off some big names in the last couple of years. He's been to the ticket round before, but I really do think that this is his chance to make it to Evansville.
And they have one of the coolest team names, the Starfires.
That's if you call them the Starfires. I have a different name for them, but
do you call them the Solar? I like Solar Flares. The Solar Flares.
I call them the Star Fairies.
That's
that goes from the.
Now, I have been told that the Z team is going to be provided with South Adams semi-state qualifier T-shirts for the broadcast on Saturday. So we'll have to see whether they got Rex's shirt size right.
Oh, jeez.
Extra medium, right? Cut them sleeves off.
Schmedium.
So going down, next quarter bracket, Brody Hagwood from the Fighting Smiths, Ethan Wardinger of Mississinawa, Thomas Kapansky of Bishop Dwenger, and Wyatt Hoppus from Yorktown. So number 10 and number 20 potentially in the ticket round. Hagwood was a qualifier last year. That should be a pretty good. Hagwood's always fun to watch.
Yeah, two of my favorite. The Twins are two of my favorite guys. I just like the way they wrestle. I like their style. I think they're super explosive. So getting them to the state finals, I think is going to be possibly really cool. That'd be a good possible ticket round match with Hopus too. I know he's had a good year, 31-6.
Yeah, Hops was right there with Bullenbacher in the final seconds on Saturday in the finals. Bullenbacher ended up getting a takedown in the third period, but it was 2-0 going in the last 30 seconds or so. So, I mean, that kid's right there at Bullenbacher's level as well. I saw Hagwood at the Al Smith. I haven't had a chance to see Mississinawa this year, but that's going to be a really entertaining ticket round match at 144.
Who's Hagwood's losses to? He says he has 4 losses. Doster, Graham, and Walker. I have to check with Mr. Brett. I think he had 4 losses. Last quarter bracket, Emilio.
Walker said 4-2 match last year. Or not last year, earlier this year, Hagwood and Hopus.
That should be a good one. So, last quarter bracket, Emilio Lisciano from Oak Hill. Another Oak Hill kid coming in there, in a good spot. Jaden Teague of DeKalb, Colton Ronmus of Delta, and Ethan Fike of Eastside, another Eastside kid, having a good year. That's going to be a real good quarter bracket.
Yeah, I had Emilio Liscano ranked in the state. Looks like, I had to look. Sometimes mine and Caleb's ranking thought matchup. We talked about that on one of the Haggard, Hershey, and Zelt High School Wrestling Weeklies. Just different opinions. I think Emilio Liscano is really good. Colton Ramos fight could be a really good first round match. Ramos is going to have to advance for those guys to get those big points because they're going to be looking to win the semi-state. But Liscano and if Oak Hill wants to make that run, that's going to be big for him too. He has a pretty good spot to go, maybe pass to the finals.
Mike, I'm very impressed that you got the funeral home name correct. That shows you're a true guest.
I've been working it.
He's auditioning to take over Rex's spot, I heard.
Ooh, we'll have to see. That Ronimus Fike match should be a really good one. I saw Fike way back in November at Goshen, and I'm looking forward to that one. I do not know much about Lascano, but I know Teague's been pretty tough. The NE8 was very deep at this weight, obviously at 144, so that's a good quarter bracket.
150 starting up.
We're take the intermission, guys. So we'll be back.
Yep. Yes. Well, we need to start at 150 and go up.
Don't
Kind
have
of.
any commercial, man.
Yeah. Yes. Dane, do you have a commercial read for us?
Let me hit play here real quick.
No commercials here. We're commercial free. It's kind of like the paid Spotify. 150, got Luke Toish from Huntington North, returning state qualifier. Only had one loss at the at conference finals. Jacob Robinson of Jate County. Riley Biddle. Biddle was the one that beat Toish, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yes. And then Ben Hartzell of Homestead. So you could have a Northeast 8 Northeast 8 crime in the ticket round rematch of the finals, and that could be some fireworks.
Yeah, there's some good ones there. Robinson actually from Jay County was at 144 pounds at conference, and that spot was kind of kept open for Cameron Clark. And then when Clark couldn't go, Robinson actually moved up to 150, and we talked about this during the broadcast on Saturday from Portland. Like, kudos to the Jay County coaching staff for taking Robinson and putting him in a spot where he could succeed. And, you know, he did just that. Find a spot where you think you can make it to semi-state when you've got a kid, you know, with 6 or 7 losses entering sectional. And that's exactly what they do. So that's a really compelling match between Toish and Biddle. I know they've met at least twice, and Toish was undefeated going into conference, but Biddle beat him at the NE8 at Huntington North.
Yeah, they are.
I thought Biddle had a really good Spartan Classic also. So that'd be a good one. 2 guys that are in the state rankings pretty close.
Another quarter bracket with 2 state-ranked guys, Jaden Jett of Cowan, senior, Hayden Wagner of Oak Hill, Connor Prochaska from Snyder, and then Blake Denman of Angola. Could have a potential the token Cowan versus Angola matchup, about as far north and as far south as you can get in the semi-state.
Man, me and Caleb did not see eye to eye on this weight. I had Biddle at 24, and Toish at 21. He had Toish 4 and Biddle 3. I had Jet 19 and Denman 17. He had Denman 5, and he had Jet 2 and Denman 5. We were not on the same page.
You guys need to communicate more. That's the best thing about these semi-state brackets is you see these kind of like what, and so people, hence why we get all the questions all the time, and 2 different people, 2 different opinions. So, and sometimes Mike, even his alternate personality, aka his brother, ranks the Chicago semi-state differently.
I could have explained it one time, like the way it falls in the semi-state sometimes doesn't match with the state rankings sometimes just based on like results. Like someone might have a win over whoever in the state rankings, but has some losses in the semi-state rankings. It's weird.
So, anything of interest in this quarter bracket? I don't think anyone's really hit each other here. So,
no, I view Jet and Denman through the Belmont lens, of course, and they both wrestled Luganville really, really tough, and they were within a point or 2 of him late in the match. Jet ends up winning Saturday, I think 4-0, and Denman was up maybe a point with a minute to go. Ended up taking down Luganville and pinning him at Goshen. But that should be a really close competitive match in the ticket round.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take my guy Brock Hagwood's thing. He said Denman's underrated. We're about to talk about his quarter bracket. He said he's underrated. I believe him.
So, next quarter bracket, Brock Hagwood of Prairie Heights, Daniel Espinoza of Leo had a upset win Saturday. Isaiah Corba of Peru and Blake Luganville from Belmont. So, Hagwood qualifier last year, looking to get a medal this year in a good spot. Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said with the. I'm a real big Hagwood fan. I think those guys wrestle an exciting style. That'd be a good one. Possible Luganville and Hagwood. Luganville's had a good season. He looked good at Al Smith. I mean, I'm sure Dane has a better insight to that. You know, he sees that guy a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about this on the show last night. I'm pretty sure that Corba was the one who knocked Luganville out at the Al Smith. Luganville took him down, had him on his back in the first period. I remember being on the mat side taking pictures, and then all of a sudden I looked away and Corba had him stuck. But like when we went back up to those 4 guys that we were projecting to make the ticket round in the top, like Luganville's been right there with all of them. He beat Biddle earlier in the year, but he's had losses to all 4 of them. He didn't wrestle Hagwood at Mishawaka, but he's been right up there. And like Luganville was a ticket rounder way back as a sophomore, so you know he's had that experience at the Coliseum and is not going to be, he's not going to be afraid of the challenge. I do think that if Luganville can just get into the second period and the third period and feel more comfortable, that's when he's most dangerous.
Are you guys bringing any of the Belmont magic this weekend?
We will find out whether said Belmont magic is working or not. We have Rex with us. That's like a lucky rabbit's foot, right?
Something like that.
Brett Smith said that the Twins are not good at Madden 24. So if you find out Madden, sounds like those are dubs.
Yeah.
And our Madden rankings are towards the bottom.
Yes. So last quarter bracket, Aiden Elkins, New Haven, Porter Kleberg of Central Noble, Max Byerly of Adams Central, and Ty Galvin of Mechaniqua. So the only ones ranked here are Elkins and Port Kleberg, 6 and 10 in the semi-state.
I think Kleberg's a really good freshman. I know he was in the rankings early on. I think when you're the younger guys, we talked about it, there hasn't been a freshman champ north of 130 since 2001 with Blake Maurer. So when you're getting some of those guys, it's a little bit harder to translate that style in. But it seems like he's trying to figure it out a little bit. But Aiden Elkins is tough. He's been in the rankings. Max Byerly, another really young Adams Central guy. I know I'm pushing. I was telling Dane I'm pushing for Adams Central, maybe Al Smith. I think that'd be a good fit. And then possibly you have Aiden Elkins, Max Byerly ticket round match.
Yeah, Byerly actually wrestled Galvin in a match that we had on WZBD in December at New Haven, and I think Galvin took him down a couple times and beat him by 4 or 5 points. So that's always fun to see. You talk about the Tony Woods and Mav Dubas wrestling 5 or 6 times, but it's always cool to get a chance to avenge one of those losses from way earlier in the year. You've got the film. There's no mystery as to what the other guy's going to do, what the choices are going to be, and that always makes for wrestling when you have that familiarity.
Rex said, didn't Thryne win as a freshman last year at 126? I said north of 132.
157 in good quarter bracket. Kevon Russell of Snyder having a good senior year. Riley Searball of Prairie Heights, Connor Kissel of Marion, and then number 17 Isaiah Meyer of South Adams. So you got a potential 14-17, and you and Caleb did agree on the at least ranking who's higher. So that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't. He had Teaton Klaus higher than Meyer, so we're kind of on the same page on this one. Russell looked really impressive at Al Smith. I seen him there. I know he had a really good summer. I know Heavy Hands told me he's really good. So, I take what he says as the gospel. My guy knows wrestling. Isaiah Meyer, did he I was given I know he defaulted in the finals of sectional. Was he able to compete this week? I know he was dealing with some injuries.
He did. He wrestled on Saturday, and Gavin Davis got to wrestle 3 full matches. He only wrestled 23 seconds at sectional, as they defaulted to him twice. But Meyer's a kid who gets better over the course of 6 minutes, and I think that's a really intriguing match between Russell and Meyer potentially in the ticket round. Rex and I talked about it on the show last night. I feel if Meyer can sort of withstand the opening 2.5 minutes, second period, and get into that third period, maybe down a point, 2 points, 3 points, and be on his feet, I think Meyer could be really, really dangerous, and potentially South Adams with 2 state qualifiers after going 0 for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so that should be a good quarter bracket. Going down, you got Tegan Klaus of West Noble having a good junior year. Max Weiler of Leo, Raison Davenport of the Daleville Broncos, and then Will Warnock of Oak Hill. So that should be, Klaus is probably a little bit of the favorite, but lots of landmines there.
Yeah, these are 4 guys that I haven't seen that much of. We saw West Noble at Goshen, but they didn't actually wrestle Belmont, and I don't remember seeing Weiler a ton at this weight just because of the way things worked in the brackets. Davenport has been awfully good for Daleville the last couple of years. He ends up taking third to Davis and Meyer Saturday. I don't know. That's an interesting one to look at. I hadn't really looked at this quarter bracket ahead of tonight. I don't really know much about Warnock. Oak Hill had a great day. We talked about it earlier in the show with how many guys they got through with the team title. So I don't know. Mike, who do you think comes out of this?
Tegan Klaus, I haven't seen a lot of. I know he had some really good results. Rayvon Davenport, I thought, had a pretty solid Spartan Classic. I don't know who his first loss was to. I believe he had a loss there. So actually, I haven't seen the Oak Hill wrestle, but it's a lot easier to compete when you have a full room. And those guys are bringing a lot of guys. They're running full practices. You're not scrounging wrestling coaches. I think that says a lot. And when you're there, it's really easy to catch that energy and just get it going. So obviously you guys, Belmont's had that success in the past where you guys have taken a lot of guys there, and just the momentum. And Will Warnock could get it going a couple matches in a row, and then Oak Hill could just get rolling. And then, throw rankings out the window doesn't really mean anything at that point. You're competing with not only with, for yourself, but you see your team starting to do well, and it becomes a team race, and, your buddies winning, and, so I think that has a big part of it. Oak Hill did, they talk about draws and bad draws and all that. They did a lot of work last week to put themselves in a lot of good positions.
Yep. Going down, the bottom half of the bracket's pretty loaded. Gavin Davis, Belmont undefeated, having a good junior year after qualifying last year. Ty Corporal of Eastbrook, Brendan Whitcar of Elkhart, and Luke Gleave of Dwenger, number 7 and 8 in the semi-state first round. So we'll see how good Caleb's rankings are.
Yeah, Davis, he's had the shoulder injury all season long. A lot of people had talked about it. He sat out a couple of tournaments to try to preserve it, try to stay out of a situation where he needed surgery. But he honestly hasn't shown that it's affected his wrestling all that much. He's a guy that just a year ago beat Brabender at the Al Smith, who's now ranked number 1 in the state. Everybody knows that he's dangerous. I think everybody's just kind of hesitant to jump on board with him because of the injury. But I mean, the talent's there, and we've seen it for the last 2 years. He got hurt way back as a freshman at Team State at Martinsville when they were wrestling Western. So it's going to be interesting. I know that he has a strong rivalry with Mitchell Betts, and they've wrestled each other several times in high school and on a couple of different competitions. But, Gavin's super talented for Belmont.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good. And, to put on, I know we had talked earlier on, I think he sat out a couple, and he was saying he was, trying to preserve it for Team State. That says a lot about his character and, like, the type of teammate and the type of person he is, that he was going to, put it out there, and now he's going. Whitaker's had a really good year, too. I think that'll be a good one with Glee first round, the winner of that, getting possibly Davis. But Whitaker's had a really solid season. He's taken some tough losses in NEIC and some other spots.
In the last quarter bracket, Mitchell Betts, only one loss at Al Smith. Evan Duncan of Winchester, Ian Amstutz of New Haven, and Ben Barker of East Noble. Barker's had some good wins. You got two great guys there, but Mitt Betts has two state. Does he have two state? He has 2 state medals, so that's gonna be a tough draw for the East Noble Knight.
Yeah, he's pretty big at 157. I know. Talk about the Maryville guys when they wrestled. When he was there, they're like, man, how are these guys making? He wrestled Palat in the semis, and Palat's pretty big at 57 too. He looked really good this past weekend, and Betts was bigger than he was. I think just kind of going into that, he's probably eyeing a state title. He's right in the mix. That'll be a good match with possibly him and Davis. Like Dane said, they have a pretty good rivalry going. Betts is really good.
Going down, we are at 165. A pretty, kind of almost a wide open bracket. Chance McCullough from Elkhart, regional champ. Colton Crabb of Tippecanoe Valley. They're back in the Fort Wayne semi-state. And then number 10, Levi Abbott, qualified last year, and he has August Adams of Carroll. So Abbott, pretty heavy favorite probably in this quarter bracket, with everyone else having 9 or more losses.
Yeah, Abbott looked decent against Duke Myers. He got taken down a couple of times in the third period and really didn't have the takedown to challenge Myers. But as I look at that quarter bracket, he's headed to West Liberty next year. He's had a pretty good career, comes from a strong family. Coach Abbott, a big fan of our show on Sunday nights, and right up there with Mike Reiser as far as number of appearances on High School Wrestling Weekly. But yeah, I think from what I've seen from Abbott so far, and I saw him early in the season, and I saw him on Saturday, I think he's probably the favorite in this quarter.
Yeah, it looked like Cowan kind of had a tough day on Saturday. I mean, really tough regional. I thought they came in with a lot of guys I thought could kind of be in the mix, and they took some losses. But yeah, I think he'd be the favorite. He's a top 10 guy in the state. It looked like the Jay Conner regional overall was really good at 165.
Yeah, yes, it was pretty good. Going down the next quarter bracket, Ryan Smithley of Marion, number 8 in the semi-state. Jericho Jackson. I heard his father is really good with letters. He knows his alphabet from what I've gathered. Nate Wells of Garrett. Cabe Stebbins of Delta. Another one where the Jay County regional got put in a pretty good spot where they had some pretty good guys.
Yeah, Stebbins beat Duke Myers earlier in the year at Team State and was tied with him with 5 seconds left in the finals on Saturday. So, he's definitely the favorite here. And that would be a nice little rematch for him and Abbott in the semifinals if that one works out. Stebbins is so tall. He's got such a different body type than a lot of 165 pounders, and it sort of creates a different dynamic than a lot of those guys are used to.
Yeah, I was going to defer to Dane on most of these. It looked like Jay County was really tough. He was there. Stebbins is really good. That was a huge win for them at Team State. With I think that was kind of like we talk about momentum. That was a huge momentum swing in that match. That was a huge win for him. And then Myers getting it back, so it was close. I'm sure those guys, could be wrestling again Saturday night.
Bottom half of the bracket, you got Ethan Smith of Snyder, Cody Cox of Norwell. You got 6 and 7. Cox, a little bit overlooked at that regional, but he's pretty solid. Jonathan Flores of Goshen versus RJ Trevino of Oak Hill. So you got 3 guys with numbers. Trevino slipped in the last rankings, 33 and 1. I'm guessing we have no clue who his losses to, but.
Well, yeah, whoever won the regional.
Oh yeah, that would be a good one. No, he lost to Smithley. Yeah, Smithley.
Yeah, the regional, right? Smithley's the champ.
Yeah, yep. He took his first loss, so he's I guess I was thinking he was a champ, but yeah. So he actually probably got in a better spot by losing. Did they know the draw?
Maybe Coach King's got it all figured out.
Yes.
Jonathan Flores from Goshen, though, he pushed Duke Myers way back at those Goshen Red Hawk duels in November. He's a pretty decent kid. Cody Cox is dangerous as well. I didn't get to see Ethan Smith because he was out when Snyder wrestled Belmont, but I know the general, my pal, he talks really highly of Smith. That's somebody's going to come out of there and have really earned it because it's going to be a really competitive quarter. But I have liked all 4 of those guys throughout the year at 165, and I've kept my eye on it with knowing Myers was going to be there and potentially a semi-state champ there.
Yeah, that's a coin flip. Who's going to show up and wrestle that day, right? Smith is real talented. Had a tough loss to Kennedy early at the Al Smith. I think he wrestled back. Did he lose in the blood around there? He lost to Emilio Tirado. That'd be a tough one right out the back. Cox was in the early rankings. I know he's taken a couple losses to Duke, right? And then I hadn't seen Flores, but RJ Trevino, if you wrestle 40 matches, you only got 1 loss, you're pretty good. Again, it's going to have huge team points. Delta and Oak Hill in a lot of the same weight classes. Yeah.
Now, seeing, we were talking about it off the air, but kind of the team race, really wasn't thinking too much Oak Hill, but they're in winnable spots. So they have some really good spots, and they could definitely, if they, like you said, get on a roll, they could definitely make it interesting for the team race, which is always a lot of fun.
I think it's the momentum part of it's really underrated. Like you see people start, you see your teammates, guys you train with, guys you're grinding with all year, starting to wrestle well, and you can feed off that. Yeah. You don't want to be the person that's gonna not wrestle well and just kind of keep going.
Yeah, I remember
but it can also be the other way too. It could be the bad momentum way too.
Yeah, at State, 7-8 years ago, I remember Columbus East having a real good run with about 3. You had the Rooks, you had Schnaggy, you had Combest, you had those. They were hammers, and they just started winning some. I think they won kind of a toss up match, and then Rooks won, then another, and it just, you could tell they were fired up, and they had quite a few guys in the semifinals, and you could tell they were running hot right there, and that's huge. That's huge. You see your buddies winning, especially winning big matches at semi-state and state. It's hard not to jump on board and get excited, and if you're like, hey, I can do this. They did it. I can get a couple big wins and help the team out. So yeah, it's definitely.
Well, and it's guys you grew up with, guys that you wrestled on, club teams with growing up. It's, especially in, smaller communities like that, you've wrestled with those guys your whole life. Mm-hmm. So and I think the Columbus East guys were really, and they were really close. I know a lot of those guys are still really close.
Yeah. So last quarter bracket, Duke Myers from Belmont, 2 state medals heading to Michigan State. Luca Hubley of Dwenger, the Saints. Jordan Simon of North Miami and Dallas Plattner of East Noble. East Noble not getting the best draws with their guys in those two brackets. Reason needs to talk to the IHSA. I mean, he's like the head of Coaches Association. He needs to get this done.
He's such a good dude, man. I like him.
Any comments on that?
Duke picked up.
Go ahead.
Duke picked up his 4th regional title. It's a pretty cool accomplishment. Rex and I talked about it a little bit this weekend. He's a guy who went through major surgery as an 8th grader, sat out a whole year of action, didn't wrestle his entire freshman year, and started in the postseason. So to win 4 regional titles, only the 5th wrestler from Belmont ever to do that. He's had thankfully a healthy senior season, and I think that's helped a lot. And I just he's the class of this weight class, and going to be a 2-time semi-state champ on Saturday.
Dang, write it down. Bulletin board material. Cody, I hope you're listening.
Wow, putting it down there on the interwebs. Yeah, no, he's pretty tough. That's gonna be a fun weight.
That will be a fun weight.
So 175, Braxton Russell Delta, Corey Droughton of Tri Central, Cam Friedline of Elkhart, and Jack Culler of Woodland. Culler kind of came out of nowhere, kind of trying to figure out. I think he came into sectional with only 2 losses, trying to help my friend Andy's like, where's this guy lost to? Yeah, he was a sectional champ, and so he had a pretty good year. And Braxton Russell returning state medalist, so that's going to be a tough road for the Warrior there.
If you had to give Braxton Russell one word to describe his style of wrestling, what would you say?
Short. No, I'm just kidding.
I would say very solid, man. I think he's very solid.
Yeah.
He holds position as well as anybody in the state. Like, he's hard to get out of his position. He's really good. I know I kind of got, I think when I put Klauser 1, I know he had beat Klauser Friday night, their junior year. I know they kind of gave me a little bit, and then I think he took a loss at Mooresville, and he's been on a roll ever since. So he's really good.
Next quarter bracket, Ethan Farnell of Mechaniqua, only 1 loss on the year, looking pretty good, looking to follow in his brother's footsteps. Joaquin Flores of Jay County, Jake Thrash of Homestead, and then Matt Levitz of Prairie Heights. I'm assuming Thrash beat Levitz in their duel because they are ranked in that manner, but I'll default to my rankings there. And yes, he did win 13-7, so a little bit of a rematch. Can never count out a Levitz. They like to wrestle in big matches, so that should be a pretty solid quarter bracket. Obviously, Farnell's a little bit of the favorite, but some guys that can compete right there.
Homestead didn't get a lot of really good draws either. Homestead had some tough spots. I really like Ethan Farnell, 36-1. I think those guys show up to wrestle. It was really cool.
Any comments, Dane?
Brock Haywood said it was a fluke.
Yes.
I saw Farnell earlier in the year, and I would say he's definitely the favorite in this quarter bracket.
So going down, we got where the meat of this bracket is. You got Chase Leach of Garrett, only 2 losses, made it 2-time Al Smith runner-up. Graham Blythe of DeKalb, a little DeKalb County rivalry in the first round of regional or semi-state. So then Evan Miller, number 15 from Oak Hill, another Oak Hill guy. This would be a good match there. Elijah Benning of Norwell. So Leach and Miller possibly 2-15. Leach having a real good senior year. Place 2-time state qualifier. So he's going to look to return back to state and take a medal this year.
Yeah, he was going to load at one. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to say, Banning Honestly, I haven't talked any smack to Caleb yet tonight, so I might as well open it up now finally. Baining probably deserves a top 10 ranking in the semi-state. He's got a couple of wins over Palacios, although those two have split. So I think when you look at this quarter bracket, and if you're trying to flying through, making your picks, you kind of look at Baining and you write him off because he doesn't have that number next to his name. But he's competitive. He's strong. He's wrestled well against Palacios earlier in the year. And the same thing for Blythe. I've seen good things from him. And I know DeKalb's had it's kind of an up and down year, but saw some good things from him. I think at Team State it was. I haven't seen Leach a ton this year. But looking at that quarter bracket, it's kind of interesting the way it contrasts with the bottom, because I feel like somebody's going to come out of that quarter that we're talking about right now and think that they might have a road into the finals. But we'll talk about Detweiler here in a minute or so. I think he's one to watch out for in that bottom half.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Leach and Al Smith. I think Aiden Costello was really good, and that was a really good match. In the finals, that 175 weight class that Al Smith was loaded. It was really good. He had a really good win over Russell in the semis. Al Smith to get there, and Russell's one of my favorite wrestlers in the state from Warren Central, just because he's out there putting up points, big move guy. And I know they had wrestled that summer and Chase there with the finals, and that was a really close match. Evan Miller, I think he lost to Hartley Hoover. I think Hartley Hoover's really good, and in the regional. He had a really good win over Paredes of New Prairie, who I thought was really solid. He was in the state rankings a little bit too. He pinned him at Team State in a minute 31. He's pretty solid. I think he's really good. That could be a pretty good ticket round match.
Yeah. Last quarter bracket, Leish Detweiler, returning state placer from Goshen, Vince Lapera. Lapera? Is it like French? Xavier Palacios from Belmont and Hartley Hoover of North Miami. That's going to be a good one. 6 and 7 in the semi-state, and then the winner gets Detweiler, who's number 8 in the state and number 3 in the semi-state. So that's going to be a good quarter bracket.
Detweiler took a loss to a John Glenn kid, Mason Colbert, early. So I didn't know, he kind of moved Colbert way up and dropped Detweiler a little bit early on. And then I think he came back and pinned him the second time they wrestled. He's really good. I know last year I was way higher on him than Caleb was, and he made me look really good when he got a medal. So he's always going to be one of my favorite guys. That first match with Palacios and Hoover would be really good. A couple of really good sophomores.
Yeah, Palacios gave up the opening takedown in the blood round, I think, in one of those matches, and ended up getting near fall. He's killer with the cradle and extremely strong. Rex talks about it every broadcast that we do, just how much strength he's got in the hands and with the cradle. But, man, what I saw from Detweiler at Goshen makes me think that he's definitely the favorite here. But, like, we've seen a couple people comment in the comments on Facebook, like, just if Xavier can stay in a match and he gets a chance to be on top, he's dangerous.
Well, now you're giving
scouting reports.
Scouting
man.
report. Jeez, man, come on, Dane. You gotta help your Belmont guy. Actually, he's probably like a legger or something. I think Dane's kind of throwing everyone for a loop here.
Man, with all the video that's out there these days, there's not much. There's not many secrets left.
No, there is not.
Hagwood in the comments getting some good heat going, man. He might be their dog pound red. Panther Cage Black over here, man. That comes up.
I get them mixed up because one of them is dating one of my former when I lived up in Waterloo, my neighbor, their daughter. So I think it's Brody, if I'm not mistaken, but I make sure I keep an eye on her because she was a good girl. Now she's getting, I don't know, talking to Hagwoods or I don't know.
I didn't know that was turning right real quick. I was about to just move on to 190.
How about that 190?
Yes. So, okay. So yeah. So it isn't Brock. Brody must be the good one then. He's the nice brother. He better be. So 190. I mean, it feels like we were going like so slow, then all of a sudden we're at 90 because like how they bunched the weight classes up earlier. So turning state qualifier, right? Blair was a qualifier last year, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He beat Crown Point kid for a ticket.
Uh-oh. So now he's just going to have to beat a West Dell kid. A Dallas Godby. Ryan Schoaf of Homestead and Austin Ringleson from Mechaniqua. I'm surprised Ringleson doesn't have a ranking unless we misspelled his name. But pretty solid spot for Blair, but obviously that is not a given. I know Ringleson was a ticket rounder last year. So... how's he? Is he
yeah, Ringeisen is the one who beat Washburn, correct, on Saturday?
Did he? I don't know.
Well, I know Washburn got third. I think Ringeisen is the one who knocked off Washburn. It's funny how those matchups work because I called the match on WSDVD when Ringeisen got beat by Trevor Curry 6-5, and then a week later Trevor Curry gets pinned by Chad Washburn over at Lafayette Jeff. So, all anybody's talking about at 190 pounds is that second quarter bracket where you've got number 1, number 2, number 3 all in the same quarter. But don't sleep on Ringeisen here against Donovan Blair because he was right there with Curry, and if he's got a win over Chad Washburn, then he's a real deal.
Yeah. So that should be a good quarter bracket. Ringeisen was in and out of the rankings all year long, and definitely going to be in the mix next year to be there. The next quarter bracket's probably one of the most most brutal ones in the semi-state. Curry versus Connor Leans of East Noble. Come on. Again, Sam's not getting any draws. I don't know what he must have not. He must have done something to Falcons or something because he got some bad draws with some of these guys. You got Chad Washburn versus Eli Kuhlman, number 9 and 14, 1 and 2. Looks like you and Dane or you and Caleb did agree a little bit on the order. So you got 1, 2, and 3 in the semi-state. So this is going to be a.
We didn't agree for a long time. There was a very Chad Washburn took a loss at the Al Smith at the Harvest Classic to Darius Beeson, who was just the runner-up at Hobart. And then Darius Beeson had a kind of a bad, not like a bad Spartan Classic. We took some losses. So Chad Washburn, I think, was out of the rankings at some point. He was number 1 in the Fort Wayne semi-state, but out of the state rankings with several other Fort Wayne guys in there.
Yeah. Now that was a. Go ahead.
I just keep thinking about this draw, and I keep thinking about how Trevor Curry wrestled last year at the Fort Wayne semi-state. Ask anybody from Adams County to watch the replay of his match with Alex Deming last year, and they'll tell you that Trevor Curry had the takedown at the buzzer against the eventual semi-state champion in Deming, and that he should have qualified and he should have been there. And now you have this draw where Curry beats Bryce Wank for the 3rd straight week and looks unbeatable, and then he draws the winner of number 1 versus number 2. It's crazy, but honestly, knowing Trevor and his attitude, I don't think he cares. I think if he's at his best, he's going to be right there and competitive, and he's going to look at it as having a chance to eliminate number 1 and number 2 from the bracket. But I saw Kuhlman earlier in the year at the NE8 duels, and he's awfully talented as well. Obviously, he comes in undefeated, only lost to Jelont, not to Hinton, but to Mickey Daring at what would be the regional finals, right? So just an insane quarter bracket and one that's going to have everybody's attention. And the cool thing is with the way, I don't know if the other semi-states do it this way, right? But we're going to see Trevor Curry wrestle. And then on the same mat after he's done, it'll be Washburn and Kuhlman. And then the 2 survivors will wrestle in the next round. And it looks like that one's going to be on mat 2, which should be right in front of Rex and me for WZBD on Saturday.
That first round match is going to be tough, man. Washburn and Coleman, both really talented. I haven't seen Coleman. Washburn's big, man. He's a big 90. I think I had him at 215. Did he qualify 2 years in a row? I know he qualified as a sophomore, right?
He qualified as a freshman and last year.
Freshman, yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing with Curry is I'm looking at like Adam Central's qualified like someone in the last like 25 years or something.
It's a long streak.
Yeah, they have a really long streak. There's a website for that. And
he said it, everyone take a shot.
Yes. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one because they have some winnable draws, but they're not they're not like, you know, if you put Curry in that top quarter bracket, okay, yeah, they're going to punch a ticket. I mean, he can win that one, or he could, you know. So that's and I'm sure that's a little bit in Coach Curry's back of his mind. Obviously, he wants to get as many guys, but they have some guys in some spots that they got to win some matches that they might be just a little bit of an underdog. So this is going to be an interesting one there. So it doesn't get much easier as we go down. This is a pretty good weight class overall in Fort Wayne. So Mickey Daring from Bishop Lures, the Knights. Boston Caudell from Madison Grant with 40 wins on the year, number 5 and 9 in the semi-state. Then you got Keith Miller had a real good Al Smith and Bryce Wank of Jay County. So 3 seniors and a junior. So you got number 19 and 21. So this will be another good, you know, not as much heat as that other quarter bracket, but still a pretty good quarter bracket.
Joe, to finish your thought, Adam Central's only missed out on the state finals once in the last 45 years. That's been 1998. They've had at least one qualifier since 1980 in every other year but then.
Jeez, that's
very good.
That's not bad.
Mickey Darian's really good. I've been really impressed with him. I know he has really good results. Keith Miller, really, really tough. Al Smith, I thought he wrestled really well. He lost 1-0 to Donovan Blair. Donovan Blair was the East Chicago semi-state runner-up last year at 195. And then, so Miller and Wank right off the bat, it's going to be a good one. The winner of that gets Darian. So that could be a really tough quarter bracket.
Yeah, all three of Wank's losses have been to Curry each of the last 3 weekends. So,
jeez. So yeah, that should be good. Good quarter bracket. Then the other one, not as much heat. Elias Kressel from Wabash, 33-1. Chris Newby from the Fighting Railroaders. Jeremiah Olram of Monroe Central, and Cullen Price of Elkhart. Kressel's the only one with some numbers.
Are the Kressel's cousins?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
Wabash and Warren Central could be down on the floor drilling, possibly.
Possibly, yeah. So no,
and walking in together, alphabetical.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, right? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. So, and pretty good weight class. Wish they would have been spread out just a little bit more. But should be a pretty fun bracket there. 215. We're gonna start off with Keegan Martin, Belmont, having a real good senior year. Aiden Hunt of Garrett, sophomore. Andrew Casavas of Eastern, and then Jackson Copus of Central Noble. So you got 3 and 21, 2 and 4 in the semi-state, potentially in the ticket round.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll let Dane. Dane, you go ahead and talk about Keegan Martin. He's been pretty good for the Braves, man.
He's had a great season. I mean, Clark's the only guy who's beaten him this year. He's such an athletic 215-pounder. I don't think he's decided what he wants to do on the college end of things, but I know Coach Myers is sort of actively campaigning for him to get a spot at a college. He just needs to pick what level he wants to go to. So athletic on his feet. Keegan Bloom from Adams Central has just sort of ridden the wave behind him and reached the finals the last 2 weeks, and probably pretty happy with his draw down there at the bottom, as he's probably the favorite. But I really do think that Keegan Martin is the favorite in this quarter round. And I really wish that he and Hinton had been on opposite sides of the bracket, because I feel like these are the top two guys in the semi-state, and unfortunately they're on the same half.
It's going to be a tough matchup for a number 2 on Friday night in Evansville. So going down, you got Jelante Hinton, 3-time qualifier, placed last year. Ethan Michael of Norwell. Dylan Creel of East Noble. Common theme there. And Dalton Albert of Tippecanoe Valley. So Hinton is pretty good. He doesn't have Chance Harris to wrestle 15 times this year, so he's coming in undefeated. I'm sure, minus any forfeits, I'm sure pretty much all of those are big wins. I think, did he wrestle Kaufman? No, he did not wrestle. He's had one decision win that I can see. But I thought they wrestled Warsaw, sorry. Earlier. They were at Warsaw. They did not wrestle them, though. That's a bummer.
Yeah, I think Kaufman lost before the final. He lost to Preston. Did he lose to Preston Duffy there?
Yeah, Preston Duffy. They were in a dual tournament with them, so he beat Preston Duffy 12-5. So he's had like one 6-minute match, and I'm pretty positive that might be all he has on his resume. I will double check though.
Test spot for Dalton Albert. Dalton Albert was a ticket rounder last year in Chicago. He lost to Will Clark in the ticket round. Another pretty tough ticket round draw, going out to Fort Wayne and drawing a guy that's been to state 3 times.
How many Fort Wayne Community School kids have qualified for state 4 times in the last 20 years? I mean, it's a pretty cool accomplishment for Jelante if he gets there on Saturday.
Yeah, all of his wins, except for the Preston Duffy match, he's either had pins or forfeits, and 1 decision. It's pretty good year.
Yeah. Count in for bonus points.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's had a good year. Going down, next quarter bracket, Preston Duffy, the aforementioned, Manchester, Brady King of Northwood. That should be a good match. King's had I think Northwood has some pretty good young guys. Matt Pori of New Haven and Keegan Bloom. So you got 3 semi-state ranked guys there. Should be a real good, pretty wide open quarter bracket there.
Yeah, Bloom got roughed up pretty good in football season again and sat out a lot of matches. And actually, Adams Central had 4 guys for 3 weights who were all semi-state, state contenders, with Wyatt McAfee eventually losing the spot to Bloom. But, all 3 Bloom's losses are to Martin. No, I take that back. 2 of Bloom's losses are to Martin because they didn't wrestle in the dual meet. Bloom took 1 loss at Team State. But honestly, Bloom is so strong and so athletic. You look at that draw and you just have to think that he's probably the favorite coming through there. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't think that Bloom wrestled Pori in the dual meet when New Haven beat Adams Central. I don't know much about Preston Duffy from Manchester, but Bloom's going to have, if Curry doesn't get through at 190, I think a lot of the pressure will fall on Bloom and Worm to pick up that qualification spot for the Jets. And I think Bloom's experienced enough for Adams Central that the pressure's not going to get to him.
Preston Duffy was the first person out of the rankings for the final rankings. He has 3 losses, 2 to Alex Deming and 1 to Jelante Hinton. So he's pretty solid. He beat Albert in overtime and 7-2 in overtime match. So not a score you see often in overtime, but he's pretty solid. I know he had some really good wins. I know he had a good win over Cameron Kaufman of Warsaw, who I thought was really good. Coming out of Al Smith, I thought he was one of the guys that kind of was like, oh man, he's very underrated. And then I think the next week he beat Kaufman. So 25-3, regional champ. I probably should have been ranked. That one's a misstep on my part. I just thought the 215 area was pretty deep there. We went a different route, but he's really good.
Yeah. Last quarter bracket, Travis Henke of Northridge, number 18, comes in with one loss. Nolan Heiner of Southwood, Alan Ortiz of Jay County, and Caleb Evans of Homestead. Evans and Henke wrestled right after Thanksgiving. Henke won 5-0. Two really good-looking, athletic 215-pounders, so that should be a good rematch in the ticket round there. Potentially.
Did Henke just get his? He got his first loss at the conference, right? Like right before at was it at NIC?
What? Say that again. Yeah. He took that first loss there. I think. Let's see who his loss. His loss was to Kaufman, 9-6. So that should be. That's. Yeah, he's had a pretty solid. I mean, he beat. He had a 1-0 win over Poppy too. So Popey. So pretty solid year for him, and that should be a good quarter bracket there.
We gotta hustle it up. Dane said he gotta get the cows to bed. Or wake them up I just glanced at it.
Yeah. 285. You got Trevi Hillman Conley of Peru. He's been in the ticker round a couple times. Jeremiah Riffle, Isaac Moss, and Ethan Dodson. That might be a monstrous match because I think they're both big heavyweights. So that should be a real good quarter bracket. You got 5, 6, and 8 in the semi-state.
I haven't given much love to the general tonight, but I have to defer to heavy hands here. I think Dodson takes Moss in that first round matchup, and I think he's awfully dangerous going forward and potentially reaching the finals. But you're right, Moss is a really big heavyweight. I know Grady Baker from Belmont's had a really good couple of weeks, but he just couldn't do anything with him. He tried to snap down. Moss is so tall, but I think that's where Dotson sort of offsets him because he's just got that sort of gargantuan build Dotson does, and I would look for him to be the favorite in that match and in that quarter.
Yeah, he had a really good Al Smith. I know he's taken a couple. I think he took a couple weird losses at Team State. I know the general told me he's a top 5 guy. He had a win over Jose Smith. But I mean, Trevi Hillman Conley is really good. I know he was there last year. He's a real young heavyweight. He didn't have the Al Smith that he was hoping, but that's a good quarter. I think Dotson's coming out of there too.
The next quarter bracket, James Hartleroad from DeKalb, sophomore Fargo champ, won regional. Connor Fernandez of Oak Hill, Vincent Park of Columbia City, and Zach Worm of Adams Central. This is a real tough quarter bracket. Hartleroad wins regional and then gets a returning state qualifier in Worm potentially in the ticket round. That should be a real good quarter bracket there.
Yeah, it's a compelling quarter for sure. You obviously I keep viewing things through the Adams County lens, and that's what you probably expected from me tonight. But Worm, his dad wrestled for Belmont, qualified for state for Belmont. He ends up going to Adams Central to play football and is a basketball player in a varsity starter for Adams Central in a really, really good program as a freshman. Wrestling was the furthest thing from his mind. And then Coach Curry convinces him to come out for the team as a sophomore. And if it weren't for a hamstring injury this year against New Haven, kid would have won 100 matches in 3 years for Adams Central and qualifies for state last year. He's got 4 losses to Johnny Cruz this year so far, and Hartleroad had the great semi-state last year. That is a killer end of the ticket round match if it happens between Hartleroad and Worm.
Oh yeah, I mean Hartleroad. had a couple losses to Coleman, right? And that's kind of where his ranking fell. He had a really good summer. That'd be an awesome ticket round matchup there. But they're saying don't sleep on Vincent Park. Vincent Park has some really good wins too. Another guy that was like right on the outside of the rankings. That first round match, if you're looking past that, Worm's looking past Park, looking towards Harder Road, that could bite him early.
Yeah, Park's had he's had a couple close matches with some pretty good guys there. So next quarter, Juan Cruz of Bluffton coming in undefeated, Jacob Reynolds of Garrett, Terry Heinen of Angola, and Patrick Kiney of Tri Central. Cruz lost first round to Hartle Road. I remember that match. I was like, man, this, you expected Cruz to beat the little freshman, and Hartle Road just kind of outworked him in that match last year. So Cruz is having a real good senior year.
He's been so good, guys. He's been so good. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch him in person since he came back towards the end of the year, but just so strong. And every time that he's wrestled Worm, he's found a way to survive. Been a couple of there was a Fat Man roll in there that Worm hit where he was able to put Cruz on his back for just a couple of seconds, but like each time that Zach's found a way to score against Cruz has come right back and scored the reversal or gotten a takedown after he gave up an escape. And a couple of times he's actually turned Worm in the third period and gotten the fall. I really think that this is Cruz's weight to take this year at the semi-state.
Nick said Diesel. I'm guessing he's pretty big. Yeah, no, I agree. He's had a really good year.
Yeah. And the last quarter bracket, Isaiah Kuhlman of Leo, 24-2, having a real good sophomore year. Grady Baker of Belmont, Colton Sisk of Tippy Valley, and Brody Streeter of Northridge. Streeter's had some good wins. Kuhlman, the bigger little brother, I'd say he's pretty tough because from what I gather, it's like a family of like 8 kids, and if he's the biggest one, he's beating everybody up to get food. So that's a good sign that he's pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, those are the big boys.
Yeah, so that's my logic and why I think he's pretty good. I mean, he beats everyone else up in his family. Obviously, Mike does not feel that way because he's ranked 20th, and Cruz was ranked a lot higher at 10th. So,
well, I think, and I can kind of explain that too.
Yeah.
So, 24-2, he has a loss to Dots, and he got pinned, and then he had a loss to Penn's backup 285.
Yeah.
So, that puts Penn's. You would assume. I mean, it doesn't always work that way, but I would assume Penn's varsity 285 would be ranked ahead of him, and he had a couple losses. So it kind of dropped him a little bit in the rankings.
Yeah.
I can speak to both of those two, Kuhlman and Cruz. I've had the chance to sit Matt's side with my camera in hand with both of them on the mat. And I'll tell you what, I scoop back just a little bit when those two guys get on the mat because they are giant. When I saw Kuhlman for the first time at Huntington North, I was like, where did this kid come from? That would be a fitting end to the semifinal round on Saturday if we could get those two going toe-to-toe in a 1-to-1 match in the third period in overtime. And I think if that's what happens, that's exactly the way it'll go down.
Yeah.
They got some big boys out there, man. You guys got some big heavyweights. Dotson's a big boy too.
Yeah. Yes. Some big guys here. So, any other? I guess should be a good day. Obviously, going over the brackets, there's going to be some great quarter finals and stuff, and it's Fort Wayne and craziness happens. It should be a good day of wrestling. Any comments, Dane? Any parting words?
No, I'll give ourselves a plug, I guess. We'll be on the air all day long on WZBD. We'll be on the YouTube channel for the first round, and then you can stream us live. Rex and I will be on all throughout the day, all the way through the finals. It's really cool what WZBD allows us to do to be able to put that much wrestling on the radio. But like semi-state, my favorite day. outside of the first day of the Al Smith, it's my favorite day of the season. I haven't missed a semi-state in like 25 or 26 or something like that years. My son just celebrated his 13th birthday, and he was 3 weeks old, and I missed the state finals that year, but I went to semi-state because it's kind of funny for us as Belmont fans. Like, the Coliseum semi-state, that's the closest drive we have throughout the whole postseason because Jay County is actually further away for sectional and for regional, and then obviously state is further away. But there's just something about that sort of coming together, and Fort Wayne's been the little brother to the rest of the state for the last decade or two, and you see all those guys that you're competing with, but also a lot of your close friends, and you know that once you leave the ice of the Coliseum on Saturday, those are the same guys that you're going to be rubbing elbows with down at state and rooting for. And it's just it's a great atmosphere. It's such a great venue for wrestling, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And anything about your favorite semi-state, Mike?
I thought we were going to talk about East Chicago on Thursday.
Oh.
No, I think Dave's right. I think that Fort Wayne's kind of got it goes in, it swings. It goes in like in waves, and probably 40 years ago, Fort Wayne was probably the best semi-state, like bar none. And then there was a couple of years where it was down, and you guys kind of were getting the business, but they've done a good job. Like just looking over the brackets and kind of seeing results, and those guys are getting better. And it's not, I don't think it's the worst semi-state, honestly. They're all good semi-states, I guess. But I think you guys don't. There's not like one team that's like a clear-cut favorite. There's not like you've got a national ranked team, so it's a lot more spread out. It's a lot more even, and I think it shows in some of the statistics when they're doing like the team state stuff, like where like there's a lot more diversity in the wrestling. You guys are gonna be well represented. And there's a lot of good matches. I mean, still that Levi Johns and Jalen May match, that's brutal, man. You look at that one and that's just a tough matchup.
Yeah, happens every year. Anytime there's a potential of a two state medalist hitting, I think the IHSA says we're gonna do that in Fort Wayne. That's the only time it does. They guarantee it. There's been some brutal ones over the years.
Going through Maryville and East Chicago, like, and I think just when you're getting better, and your teams are getting better, and like the talent's like rising up, like you just gotta run into those matches. And as the week goes on, we'll talk about. There's some brutal ones at Evansville. You look at it, and you're just like, man, that's awful. Like those kids like should be going, and we don't have a wrestleback, and I don't think we're ever gonna get a wrestleback, honestly. But it's just one of those things. Like if you did the real top four, it'd be a lot more competitive state finals.
Yep. So we'll be back possibly tomorrow, but we'll be back at least Wednesday and Thursday. So we'll see how that goes. So it's getting late, so the cows need to be fed in the morning. So
that's what Dane said. The cows don't feed themselves at 4:30, boys.
So well, thank you, Dane, for joining us. I know you have a lot better co-host this. Lot better looking co-host today, and it's
hard to argue.
Yeah, well, big upgrade in that category. I'm sorry, Rex. But so we'll see you guys Wednesday. If I can maybe find someone tomorrow, maybe I don't know. We'll find out. Just keep your notifications on.
Wednesday, Thursday for sure.
Yes.
But I think Newcastle would be a good. I think Newcastle should have their own show too. If we can go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Joe's good for it. Yeah. I don't know if I'll be able to be there, but someone should represent Newcastle and break it down.
Yeah, we'll do that.
You gotta get like a panel and buzz people out for every regional.
Yeah, yes. So with that, we're gonna head out and have a good Monday evening and Tuesday.